passion for everyone. Good, Andy.
Hey, good morning, Blake and Aaron. How are you guys doing today?
Alrighty.
So,
Sorry.
right.
There you are.
Oh,
That was
yes,
my bad.
I was ready. I was talking.
That was my bad.
No worries. I know how it is when you've
pushed the
got.
button and it didn't light
I
up.
know it. Buttons and sliders.
it's too much.
What's going on this morning?
Good morning, everyone. So, we have the governor who's going to be sworn in on Friday. So, the new governor, designate Jane Owen, is scheduled to arrive in the Cayman Islands on Friday, April the 21st, where she will be officially welcomed by members of government at the Owen Roberts International Airport. And in keeping with tradition, Mrs. Owen will be sworn in at the House of Parliament on the same day. The ceremony is open to the public, so if you'd like to see this, come on out, come on down. And everyone is expected to be seated by 1:30 p.m. for a start time of 2 p.m. So come on out. The Premier, Honorable Wayne Panton, stated on behalf of government and the people of the Cayman Islands, he's delighted to extend a very warm welcome to the governor designate. So exciting stuff going on there.
All right.
The police have been extremely busy. So they had a press conference on Friday. And out of that press conference, there came, a number of bits and pieces of it was their annual crime report. And one of the things that is certainly surprise to us is that, number one, there was a shocking number of fatalities for the year. I believe it was a record at some 20 for the previous year. And in addition to that, the robberies that we experienced, you guys will remember this is quite critical, actually had a significant contribution, not a significant, but a slight increase, I should say, in the actual crime. So crime increase, they say slightly. We had 95 firearm-related crimes reported in 2002 as well. So
we talked about it yesterday. There was a 37% drop, though, in DUIs.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that, I don't know what caused
time. Yeah. And that was for the same time period
for 2022.
Yeah. There's quite a bit of information that's come out, but yeah. So the police recovered 16 firearms, 15 handguns, and 1 shotgun in 2022. And they say that, at least 8 of the firearms enabled violent, severe crime, including 3 of the 4 murders and 5 of the 6 attempted murders. So firearms continue to be a real area of concern.
For sure.
And one other thing the police said that was quite interesting is a lot of robberies of like numbers people, the gambling situation, remain unreported because, of course, that's exactly why they're targeted, because they're not likely to run to the police and say, oh, I was just robbed of $35,000, because then the police is like, oh, really? And where did you get that money from? All right. Congratulations to the Cayman Key Clubs. They are attending a district convention in Florida. These young people are doing lots of positive things. So the annual Florida District Education and Leadership Conference is being held in the spring with over 2,000 students and chaperones. DCON provides for district officer elections, international candidates endorsement, club officer and member training, and they'll have access to keynote and motivational speakers. So this is a fantastic opportunity for some 30 members of the Key Cubs from 5 Cayman Islands high schools. So congrats to them, and we wish them a safe and successful trip.
All right.
So those are some of your news headlines this morning.
Thank you, Sandy. Catch Sandy's show coming up on Bobo 89.1 FM in just a few minutes. And we'll see you tomorrow for the Wednesday headlines.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, folks. Good morning. We've got a couple minutes before we go live on Bobo 89.1 FM. Good morning to everyone. I'll play some nice, relaxing, enjoying music for your morning pleasure as we get ready to get the show on the road.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's community radio.
We are still spilling the tea.
And committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
Come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman,
Live, direct.
it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right. Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Cold Hard Truth. It is Tuesday. What day are we into now? Oh my gosh, it is the 16th of the month already. Wow. April is just flying on by. No, it's actually the 18th. I'm a little bit behind. Missed 2 days. April the 18th, folks. What can we say? The month is well underway, which means the year is well underway as well. So good to see you guys here. So who we've got joining us this morning? Miss Vernita's in the house. We've got Carmelie. Sujit is here. Says, we're going to get to that a little bit later on. Oh gosh, Sujit. No need for a cover up. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Good morning to Roderick. He says good morning to Sandy and everyone. Wee Wee is here. We've got Miss Dory. Hey, beautiful Dory. How you doing? Welcome to the program. Stephen joining us from the UK. Damaris joining us from NYC, New York City. What's going on in New York, Damaris? First Lady Jeanne joining us right here, Savannah Newlands area, I believe. Good morning to you. Miss Iva also joining us with her beautiful mango tree. I have it on good authority. She's going to pick me a couple mangoes later on, right, Miss Iva? Tracy, so good to see you as well. Miss Morna. Jewel, good morning to the beautiful Jewel. Oh, I love that profile picture, Jewel. Woo-wee, beautiful dress. KK says, feel like I haven't been here in a minute, in and out on Facebook. Okay, KK, well, you don't want to miss today's episode. Robert is also here. Olivia's here. And of course, Felicia, Charlene, and many others still logging on. I just sent out the links to everyone on WhatsApp. So if you like to get everything as it's happening and you really want to be in the know, hit me up to join the WhatsApp news distribution list. So basically, you don't know who else is in the list, and it's a lot of people. But we just send out notifications to everyone. Everything is posted on the website, all the news alerts, the morning links for the show, so that you never miss a beat of anything that CMR does, and you make sure that you get, you keep caught up, and you get caught up for sure. Thank you, Miss Iva. She's got the most beautiful mango tree. Miss Lisa also has a beautiful mango tree, but I haven't heard if she's got any crop this year. So, I'm keeping a close eye. I'm the mango watcher, keeping a close eye on all the lovely Cayman local round mango trees and what they're up to. So listen, just a quick note before we bring our guests in, because today is Tuesday, which means we're going to have Medical Rundown Tuesday. Some really important medical information for you guys. But before we get to that, yesterday's show was quite interesting. If you missed it, it's quite intense. Now, on Facebook is where we have the majority of our viewers, without a doubt. Every single day, anywhere from a solid 3,000 to 5,000 plus people watch every single episode, which, by the way, thank you guys. I mean, those are amazing numbers for sure, for any program. But definitely, given our population size, that means that quite a bit of you are tuning in every single day and watching the program. But I want to remind you guys, because we've had some sort of an issue. We quite haven't figured out what's going on with Facebook yet, but Facebook has actually removed yesterday's show. Now, sometimes there are rules, like people can report stuff for the most ridiculous reason because we use the word sex, and that might have been in the title. They might have reported that and Facebook removed it. Just that's because people don't want the truth to come out. So I don't know who was reporting yesterday's show, but we have two primary suspects who were discussed on the show, Sidoni Mothersill or George Ebanks. It could have been either one of them, or I guess, people connected to them. It matters not, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, the truth will prevail on this program, and generally speaking, right? And there are more than one way to certainly slice your cake up. And so we always have backup and redundancy options. So you can go watch it on YouTube. Sometimes the things that YouTube cares about, Facebook doesn't care about, and vice versa. But despite those being important channels of distribution of our morning show content, I want y'all to keep in mind that we also have the capacity to, separate and apart from social media, to share embedded links in our website. So this is just an FYI. You can go to the CMR website anytime that you wish and watch any of our shows. I'm going to tell you how to do it. So you go to the website. Let me just show you really quickly, because I know a lot of you are just visual people. So let me just see here if we can do this quickly. So here's the CMR website. Yes. Let me increase the size just a tad, because if you're like me and you're wearing glasses these days, you need it. So here we are. Okay, so this is the CMR website. You go to the website. You see these three little dots on the left where it says home. You click on those, and then you have your options of the different categories within the CMR website that you can go to. So like we have social media happenings. We've got science and news, rumor has it. So just look for the one that says live shows. Oh, wait a minute. Where is it? Live shows. I know my web guy has been moving stuff around. Now I tell you where to go, right? You're like, wait a minute. There is, where did he put it? Where did he move it to? Okay. There is a category. I might have to speak to my web guy this morning. But there is a category for the cold hard truth. Now, I bet you there it is. Under CMR videos, I was going to say, I knew recently we made a few little changes. So under CMR videos, we have the cold hard truth, we have Cayman Voices, and CMR Daily Buzz. Just go to this one, the cold hard truth, click on it there, and then you get to see all the shows. So this would have been yesterday's show, the day before. You can see it in date order. So every single show is added there. We have a team member who works out of the States, who that's part of her, important role is to make sure this is updated every single day. And so here we are, yesterday's show talking about sexual harassment in the Cayman Islands. You click on the link, and then there's the embedded video. So you will not miss a beat, right? Nobody's going to stop the show, folks. There's the embedded video for you to watch. Your viewing pleasure. It was a long show, 3 hours and 35 minutes and 33 seconds, but there it is for you, and you can still get to it. I know that people really work hard to, keep information underground, but that's not what we're all about, folks. We are about just simply giving you the information. You can choose what to do with it. Some of you will take a particular position. Some of you will just listen. Some of you are hardcore like me, like, listen, right is right and wrong is wrong. And there's seldom a gray area. Whatever you choose to do, the information is there for your viewing pleasure. So that's how you can certainly get to it. No, KK, that was yesterday's show. So she's asking about the text message exchange. Please go and watch it. That's the exact same show that I'm talking about. So what I will do is I'll actually get this specific link for you. And then I'll put it in the chat, because I know a lot of you were asking me yesterday, where is it? I can't find it on Facebook, because a lot of people go back after the program. During the day, they might be busy, they're working, whatever. You may be at work, you can't really listen to the cold hard truth and get your work done at the same time. So a lot of people watch afterwards. And so that's how you can go and watch afterwards, is simply go to the website and click on the cold hard truth category. All right, KK, you definitely want to watch that segment. Trust me, it was quite interesting. All right, so let's keep the train moving here this morning. Choo-choot. We have some important discussions on as part of our regular segment, Rundown Medical Tuesdays, brought to you by Health City. These are important topics, folks, about your health and wellness. And, every single month there is some sort of focus on different areas of our health. And this is, I think, significant because it allows Health City to really hone in on educating you about different things. So in today's program, we're going to be talking about Oral, Neck, and Throat Cancer Awareness Week, which is the week of April the 16th through the 22nd. And these are really important because I don't know how much y'all pay attention and keep up, but I can tell you from quite a number of years, we'll get it from the doctor here in just a second, that there's been an increase in some of these cancers, especially the oral and throat cancers. And they're associated with things like, HPV, which people aren't always aware of what that is and why it's important to know these things. So I'm very, very tickled pink to be having Dr. I hope I get this name right, Agniva Basu.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Sandra.
that close enough?
Good morning, viewers. Yeah, you actually pronounced it right. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Wonderful. I'm always happy when I get unusual names right. And of course, we have no problems pronouncing Shamari Scott. Good morning, Shamari. How are you?
You would need a lot of coffee if you got my name wrong today.
I know, right?
Good morning. Good morning, Cayman Islands. Good morning, Dr. Basu. How are you?
Good morning, Shamari. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
So Dr. Basu is an ENT specialist and a head and neck surgeon. So he's our technical specialist from the Health City Cayman Islands on the program this morning. And we also have Shamari Scott, who's a chief business officer. So Dr. Basu, wow, we were talking about a lot of different types of cancers. It's so interesting that they kind of put them together for this awareness week. Tell us a little bit about what these cancers entail.
So head and neck cancers include any cancer that involves your mouth or oral cavity, oropharynx, that is the backside of our throat, the larynx, that is the voice box, the thyroid glands, the salivary glands, and also the tumors of the nasal sinuses and the nasopharynx. That is the posthumous part of the sinuses. So any cancer arising in this area is a part of the head and neck cancers. So these are different varieties of cancers, actually, different pathologies, different symptoms, and different treatment outcomes, different prognosis. But all these tumors, together we call it head and neck cancers. One of the commonest type of head and neck cancers include the oral cancers, which is any cancer that can arise in any area of our oral cavity, including the lips, the tongue, the floor of mouth, obviously the buccal mucosa, that is inside your cheeks or your gums, and even in the palate, that is the roof of your mouth.
Wow.
Oropharyngeal cancers are referred to cancers which are in the oropharynx, that is the posterior part of the oral cavity. That includes the backside of your tongue, the posterior pharyngeal wall, that is the posterior wall of your oral cavity, the tonsils, and the hypopharynx. Thyroid cancers are also, it's very prevalent now, and the incidence rate is going high very fast. In fact, thyroid cancers is the 10th most common cancer in the world right now. So it is very important that we also discuss about thyroid cancers.
Yes. So quite a number of cancers, found in sort of this group, this general oral, neck, and throat cancers. I always think it's so interesting that pretty much you can get, a cancer anywhere on the body. So it's important for people to be educated about the things that they want to look out for. So of all of these different types of cancers, which one is of greatest concern?
Definitely oral cancer.
Oral cancer.
No doubt about it, because oral cancer, though oral cancers are usually detected early, but the course is very fast. I mean, they are very fast growing cancers, and they have the worst prognosis among all the cancers. And also I'll include laryngeal cancers, that is the cancers of the voice box, that's the cancer of your throat, that is also very, very aggressive kind of cancer. And the prognosis is also not very good if detected late. So early detection of cancers is probably the most important thing that we can do.
Right. And so, of course, we need to look at the risk factors. And so I saw Jonathan just jump to the one about HPV, but is HPV the number one cause of oral cancer?
For oral cancer, if you're talking separately of oral cancer, no. Tobacco is the number one cause of oral cancer worldwide. But if you're going to oropharynx, that is the tonsil and the posterior part of the throat, yes, now HPV is the commonest cause. I mean, the most important cause of oropharyngeal cancers.
All right. So risk factors include tobacco use, alcohol consumption. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I was a bit surprised to see that on the list as a risk factor.
Yeah, alcohol has been separately identified as an important cause of oral and oropharyngeal cancers. And together with tobacco, the risk rises manifold. I mean, if you are consuming only alcohol or only tobacco, compared to when you're consuming both of them together, the risk is multiplied. It's much more.
And how does alcohol consumption contribute to these cancers?
So alcohol consumption erodes the mucosa. There are some micro erosions of the mucosa. Mucosa means the inner lining of the oral cavity. That can lead to like tobacco. So what happens is there is gradual change of the normal cellular architecture in your oral cavity, and which may initially give rise to something like a localized ulcer, which usually doesn't heal when it's malignant. So there are some genetic changes in the cells. There's some structural changes in the cells, and gradually they become malignant. That is, they start dividing. So malignancy is a condition when where there is uncontrolled proliferation of the cells. So once the structural thing of the cell changes, it gradually progresses to a malignant cell. It loses some genetic material and it cannot control its own division. And that gives rise to something like an ulcer or a tumor in your oral cavity. And over time it progresses. And every one of us know that cancer has the tendency to erode things and invade the adjacent structures, right? So once the tumor grows, it grows deep into your mucosa, to the muscles, and it erodes the bone, and it can even spread to other parts of the body via bloodstream and the lymphatics.
Super interesting. We do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Morning.
Morning.
Is the mechanism that you're referring to a mitochondrial dysfunction?
Yeah, mitochondrial dysfunction has been attributed to be one of the causes, but it's not the sole cause. There are multiple other structural changes as well. That includes the nuclear genetic material also.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Denny likes technical information, so we can always expect him to ask the tough questions on our behalf. So let's talk about tobacco a little bit, because again, that is the number one sort of, risk factor. Smokeless tobacco. So of course, this would include what?
So smokeless tobacco, we are lucky that in Cayman Islands, we don't get something like a smokeless tobacco. Smokeless tobacco is actually a form of tobacco which is used very commonly in the eastern part of the world. So these are like powder-like things that people keep in their mouth, and they get the taste of it. They get addicted to it. So it's like something that they chew and consume. And it may be in some parts of the world they take something like called a betel leaf,
Yes.
So betel leaf mixed with tobacco is a very it's in some part of the world it's actually a cultural thing. You greet your guests with those things.
Oh wow.
But those are actually very toxic to your body, and regular consumption can definitely lead to something like a cancer.
Yes. So I think Americans will be familiar with it from the perspective of certain athletes in particular. I don't know why, but baseball athletes tend to use a lot of smokeless tobacco.
Yeah,
Um,
they banned that a few
Yeah,
years
thank
ago.
God
So,
it is
so now
finally.
so now they pretend with bubble gum chew.
Oh my God!
But
So
it's
they're
still like the
putting
sensation of the dip, but it's not
something in their mouth.
actual dip. It's bubble gum.
Yeah. So snuff, dipping tobacco, snuffs. That's different sort of terms that they apply.
Snuff is something that is taken in the nose.
Oh, that one's taken in the nose. Ew.
Yeah. So people breathe in. So these are tobacco dust that they breathe in. So these are very common cause of nasal cancers and sinus cancers.
Wow. I didn't know that people actually will sniff tobacco products.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, that's so crazy. Okay. So that's pretty crazy, but you don't see very much of that here in the Cayman Islands at all.
No, definitely not. Even smokeless tobacco, it's not available in Cayman. That's a very, very good thing.
Yes. Wonderful. Wow. All right. And so let's talk then about HPV. Obviously, Jonathan picked up on that quite quickly. There was a number of years ago, probably maybe even 20 years ago, that I think the scientific and medical world started to notice an increase in oral cancers. And there was, in a very short time, it was evident that men in particular seemed to have been getting some very unusual oral cancers. And then there was a very quick connection that was, linked between HPV and oral cancers. And now I think we're past the connection stage, but we're at the cause and effect stage. So tell us what HPV is, first of all.
HPV is human papilloma virus.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a virus that is actually common. Even at least 30% of population has the virus, is infected by the virus.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some subtypes, like the subtypes 16 and 18. They are very prone to cause oral cancer. They're the aggressive variants. So having HPV infection doesn't mean you have cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Having HPV infection for a long time can progress. See, in most of the patients, in most of the people, I'll say not patients, in most of the people who are diagnosed to have HPV infection, the body usually takes care of it. They develop immunity against the virus and long-term effects. But for few unfortunate people, this virus infection can progress to cancer. And when we're talking about head and neck, definitely oropharyngeal cancers, the most common type of cancers that we see with HPV infection. But the good thing is for HPV cancers, they are much more amenable to treatment, and they have much better prognosis than the cancers that are developing from tobacco or other addictions.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And of course, it's one of the reasons as well why parents, when they're talking or thinking about the HPV vaccine, it's not just for the young girls in your family, but young men could also benefit from that vaccine as well.
Exactly. So things are still under trial and things under study. A lot of things going on around the world. A lot of studies coming up recently about the benefits of HPV vaccinations in men.
Mm-hmm.
In very short time, we'll have a proper guideline about the same.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Jonathan has a comment here. He says, "Notice what the doctor said: tobacco, not weed." So he is a I guess, self-proclaimed weed smoker. So is there a distinction for the purposes of risk factors between smoking tobacco versus marijuana?
So marijuana most commonly is taken along with the tobacco.
Mm-hmm. So you group them together in terms of the risk factor?
Obviously, definitely. Marijuana has actually some other worse side effects. It can destroy your brain cells. And people consuming marijuana regularly can have memory loss and other significant health issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I will not recommend taking marijuana as well.
So there's no better option of smoking marijuana versus smoking tobacco for the purpose.
No. I mean, definitely tobacco is probably the most harmful in terms of the devastating power or the aggressiveness, but even marijuana has a lot of other side effects that is not caused by tobacco. So when we are talking definitely about oral oropharyngeal cancers, we also have to keep in mind the other side effects, like the cardiac side effects, the neurological side effects associated with the consumption of tobacco and marijuana.
Mm-hmm. So Alejandra says eating too many bananas whole can cause bad throat pump. Oh, Alejandro, really? Skip that question. I thought it was a serious question about bananas, but
I don't think there is any evidence for that.
no, I actually just am understanding the joke he's trying to put in there. All right. So Jonathan says that you're more likely to smoke less with marijuana. Well, I don't know about that. I think that can be easily debunked. Julia has a question. She says, does that include alcohol-based mouthwashes like Listerine? So is there any harm to using Listerine?
No, the percentage is absolutely different. Because in alcohol-based mouthwash, you have chlorhexidine and other components that actually rinses your mouth. They're good. They're good because they kill the local bacteria sometimes, which are non-commensal pathologic local bacteria that you can develop in your mouth. It maintains hygiene. So no, there is no evidence of alcohol-based mouthwashes causing cancer. No.
Right. Okay. Very, very interesting. So Alejandro also, I think we've answered this already, but he said, ask if there's any cases of marijuana smokers evolving into cancer. Well, obviously, I think we've said this before, doctor, and I want you to clarify this. Is there anything that you can smoke? And I don't care what it is really, but obviously tobacco products and marijuana would be at the top of the list. But is there anything that you could smoke that would not be harmful to your health? Because it's the very act of smoking it, which causes carcinogens, the release of all these chemicals that makes it harmful. Is that not correct?
Yeah, there's, I don't think, I mean, what do people smoke for? To get the high or to get the kick. So that is the place where, that is the reason why they smoke. So any other products that you're smoking will not have that kick or the high. So people will not go ahead and smoke all the stuff. So we are talking of addiction over here, not a one-time thing.
Right.
And so, Doc, I think what the viewer is trying to ask is the incidence of cancer, right? Forget about all of the other effects that marijuana may have. If you were just to look at tobacco and marijuana and the incidence of cancer, or whether one or the other causes more cancer, I think he's trying to.
Tobacco is definitely top of the list.
Tobacco is the one, and whether or not there's enough data right now that says that marijuana gives you.
Marijuana. There are some selected data from some isolated countries, but there is no global data for it right now that we can actually refer to. There's no level 1 evidence. I'm sorry.
Right. So I think that's where that was actually what he was getting at. But then you were also stating, now just to make sure everybody was clear, that tobacco is harmful in this way, right? But marijuana may be harmful in other ways. So in no way are you trying to promote one over the other. You're trying to say, don't smoke either, is what you're
absolutely
trying to say. And Sandy, just because I didn't get to do it at the front of the program, just to mention with Dr. Basu, he comes from our Narayana group, which we have over 40 hospitals and embedded units. In India, we have the second most beds in India, which is going to be one of the most populous countries in regards to population in very short order, if not already. And he actually comes from one of our super specialty hospitals as well, which is one of a kind. So he comes very credentialed to us as always, and we're very pleased to have him here from an ENT perspective.
Thank you so much.
Just to mention that many years that we've been working with the cruise lines and other entities, they were always asking about radiotherapy and when we were going to have it. And one of the other areas was always ENT as well. when are you going to get ENT? When are you going to get ENT? So we're very pleased to be able to have Dr. Basu with us so that we can offer ENT not only on island, which already had ENTs, but to surrounding Caribbean countries and the cruise lines that really needed top-notch ENT physicians for their crew members that they would want to come to see us as well. So just wanted to throw that in there, Sandy.
All right. And for the benefit of Jonathan and Alejandro, we're not going to turn this into marijuana discussion. But what I would suggest you do is I've just shared one link, and there are numerous other links out there that you can certainly avail yourself of. Two important things from this particular article from regarding lung cancer, marijuana lung cancer risk. One of the interesting things about marijuana is people tend to smoke it deeply and hold on to it. Hold on to, so it gives the toxins more contact with your lung tissue, and there's a more chance that it will actually stick there. The other thing is people generally smoke a joint all the way to the end, and the tar, which is the sticky stuff left behind after burning, has high levels of harmful chemicals and is more concentrated at the end of a joint. So, and there's some other considerations in this article, including the lack of control. I mean, you don't have any, unlike tobacco products, there aren't any controls on its strength or quality. So people don't know really that they're getting the same dose, if we can use that word, of marijuana from one joint to the next. It makes it really hard for researchers to set standards to measure its effects. And that's one of the reasons why the data is a little bit challenging to accumulate when it relates to that. But lots of information out there. Again, I think the bottom line is there's no such thing as smoking anything, even a piece of paper by itself, that would be beneficial to your health or not harmful to you at all. So Jonathan acknowledges that he's not going to say that marijuana is safe for you. He says, I'm not going to pretend that smoking weed is good for your health. Well, that's an improvement. But it sure helps one get through the day, and it's better than rum or wine.
No comment on that.
Yeah, I think anything that you're having in excess, because listen, research in the last couple of weeks has come out saying that there is no safe level of or beneficial levels of alcohol use.
Absolutely.
But you really shouldn't be drinking either. And I'm a proponent of that. Like, I don't know why people really need to drink. I guess the occasional glass of wine, but there's no benefits to it. So I think that people who are struggling with addictive personalities, or having to resort to drinking alcohol or smoking, should probably look at other ways in which they can relieve those stresses in their lives. And they're healthy things that you can do that would be good for your overall health. Alejandro, you're going to use up your one call already for the day?
Damn right I am. I'm only going to take 5 minutes.
No. You can't get 5 minutes with our guests. Say what you can in 1 minute.
Let me just tell you what I can tell you. If I smoke a pack of cigarettes a day versus 1 or 2 spliffs a day, what do you tell me on that? Each spliff have 1 gram to 2 grams in it. What do you have to tell me on that? And alcohol, with that 1 glass of wine a day, for getting drunk with beers, tell me the difference.
All right, we'll have the professional answer your questions.
So the thing is, you're risking one for the other.
Yes.
When you're smoking tobacco, you're risking for oral cancers, oropharyngeal, laryngeal cancers, and when you're smoking marijuana, you're more in for a lung cancer and other things.
Oh. So pick your choice of cancers. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. All right, Miss Ermilia says, thanks for the knowledge of how harmful this is for loved ones. You're most welcome, Miss Ermilia. Miss Sue says, sorry, I can't listen about cancer too soon after losing my husband to stomach cancer. And there's so many different types of cancers. And of course, the unfortunate thing about cancers, doctor, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but once you have it in anything, in any organ or any part of the body, there is that real chance of it spreading into other areas, which is an area of concern from,
that is the worst part. That's actually the worst part. So once a cancer spreads, for most of the cancers, if it spreads to other parts of the body, the stage usually increases. So the treatment options come down and the prognosis become worse. So definitely a cancer spreading to the other parts of the body is a lot of concern, definitely. I mean, for us also, because the treatment options actually come down a lot. Like if I talk of oral cancers or pharyngeal cancers, when it's limited to oral cavity, we can go ahead, do a surgery, remove the cancer with proper margins. Then the patient may need some kind of adjuvant treatment like a radiotherapy or chemotherapy, but the doses are usually less. But when oral cancer spreads to other part of the body, we call it a palliative stage, where we cannot cure the disease. We have to palliate the disease. So that is stage 4B. That's the worst possible stage that you can have. And that's a real concern. I mean,
right. Wow. All right. So let's talk about some symptoms then, if we can. Early signs and symptoms of these various types of cancers that people should be aware of.
Yeah. So the commonest symptoms of oral cancers is a swelling or ulcer in your oral cavity, that's your mouth, or if you see an ulcer or a swelling in your tonsils. In most of the cases, the swelling in the tonsil is usually unilateral, that's in one side. Or if you have any ulcer in the back of your throat, you have a difficulty in swallowing. In most of these things associated with the disease, you have a difficulty in swallowing and some pain associated with it. Pain in the parental sinuses. When we are talking of nose and parental sinus cancers, patients usually present with the pain and maybe some swelling. Swelling of the eyes can also be there. They may have recurrent epistaxis, that is recurrent bleeding from the nose. When we are talking of laryngeal cancers, that cancer of the voice box, the patients most commonly present with a change in the voice. The voice may grow hoarse, and it may be sometimes even in advanced cancer, the patient may have difficulty in breathing, because the larynx is the voice box that lies on the top of our airway. So if there is a cancer or a tumor involving that area, it may block your airway, and patient may have difficulty in breathing. A lumpy neck, yeah, that's very important symptom, because in some cancers, like oral cancers and oropharyngeal cancers, very fast. They spread to your neck via lymphatics, and they increase the stage of the disease. And sometimes a patient may come to us just with a lump in the neck and nothing else. But on investigation and examination, we find out that it's probably a oral cancer or pharyngeal cancer that has already spread to the neck. Earache is usually a referred pain from these oral oropharyngeal cancers to your ear, because there are a lot of common nerves that supply these areas. So a patient may have an isolated symptom of earache only and nothing else.
Okay, very interesting. So Ms. Tanya, good morning. Welcome to the program. She says, Alejandro, everyone in here, most like you, to stay healthy and tell you, please don't smoke, no matter how small, how weak of a joint or anything like that. Try it and see how many care on here to keep you away from ever developing cancer. Ms. Soka says, peanut butter is carcinogenic. I know someone who had mouth cancer, not a smoker, but ate peanut butter daily. Do we know anything about foods, any particular types of foods, peanut butter and so on, being carcinogenic?
Oral cancers are not related to any food, but there are some foods that can lead to some gastric cancers and pancreatic cancers. Like some people say that smoked fish can cause some gastric cancers. So, but oral cancer or pharyngeal cancer, no, there is no evidence of any food relating to this.
Yeah. And I do have a couple articles here, so I'll put the link in the discussion segment that should be helpful. There's one from Science News talking about the frequent consumption of peanuts by cancer patients, and you'll find that interesting. So again, that is probably just a coincidence. And I think that sometimes people look for coincidences, like they think, okay, if I do something, there's a cause and effect, and that's not always the case, obviously.
So Sandra, the thing is that there are hundreds and thousands of studies going on around the world. So we quote only the controlled trials. Those studies which include a lot of patients, and over the years, people study like prospective or maybe some retrospective studies. So putting up a study, anyone can do a study and put up something. But when it is like a proper quoted study with adequate number of patients, evaluated adequately with proper biostatistics, then only it is considered to be a level 1 evidence. So that's very important. When you search the internet, you'll get hundreds of different articles around. For every small thing you search, you'll get some article.
Very good. All right. So folks, don't forget 936-2626 is the telephone number. You can certainly call in and ask any questions that you may have. Today's discussion again surrounds Oral, Neck, and Throat Cancer Awareness Week, which is April the 16th through the 22nd. And we have Dr. Basu, who's here in the studio with us this morning, along with Shamari Scott, talking about all these different types of cancers that, you should just be on the lookout for. So we were discussing some of the symptoms, lumps in your neck and earache, nasal discharge, red or white spot in your mouth that doesn't heal or that increases in size, difficulty swallowing, and recurrent bleeding from the nose. And I would think that especially when it comes to oral cancers, doctor, that going to a dentist on a regular basis and having a dental professional, examine the mouth is also extremely important.
That's very important. That's true. That's very important. We at least a 6-monthly checkup, 6-monthly visit to your dentist is recommended worldwide. That not only for cancer but also for any other dental diseases as well. But incidentally, I have got many patients referred from dental surgeons who have incidentally detected just for some ulcers and have subsequently referred the patients to us. Who had symptoms of, who probably didn't have any symptoms, just went for a routine checkup and was found to have an ulcer.
Wow.
So regular dental checkup is really important.
Very good. So since we're talking about that, the screening options that are available for early detection, what do they include?
So if you are talking of oral oropharyngeal cancers, for head and neck cancers, there is no strict American or any other European guidelines for regular screening. But nowadays, a few of the American institutes like the MSKCC, the MD Anderson Center, they have started doing some high-risk screening. The people who are consuming tobacco and alcohol or tobacco are subjected, the young adults particularly are subjected to regular screening, yearly screening of the oral cavity. That includes mainly examination of the oral cavity, palpation, that is, we feel the areas of the oral cavity, a laryngoscopy, that is a camera put in your nose or your mouth to visualize the voice box, and thyroid profile, and sometimes that includes ultrasonography of a neck. But then again, there is no strict guidelines yet from the American Society about regular screening for oral cancers. But for high-risk individuals, they have recommended a few things.
Very good. So Jonathan has a comment. He seems to be very much in his feelings today about smoking. He says that Sandy makes it sound, talks as if smoking is the cause of all cancers. Well, certainly no one has ever said that. But Jonathan, if you'd like the facts are that cancer is linked to at least 15 different types of cancers, including nose and sinus, mouth, upper throat, larynx, esophagus.
Esophagus is the food pipe, yeah.
Yes. Lung, liver, stomach, kidney, pancreas, bowel, ovary, bladder, cervix, and leukemia, which is a cancer of the blood. So, yeah, I mean, you can choose one of 15. I didn't say every single cancer, but this is what the medical experts say, Jonathan. It's not my opinion. Morna tunes in on this. She says, we are all born with cancer cells, but what kind of cancer will attack our bodies? I know people who never smoke in their life and die from cancer. So
that's a good question.
Yeah.
May I answer that?
Absolutely.
So, no, we are not born with cancer cells, but some people have a genetic predisposition to cancers. Some cancers run in the family, and there's something called a cellular mutation. That is some alteration of genetic materials of the cells without any proper stimulus, or there may be some stimulus that goes undetected. So some people are unlucky. That's true. They have some genetic predispositions, like there are a number of genes, P16 and all those. which are attributed to cancers. So it's like definitely every cancer has different risk factors, but genetic factors are also very important factors for a few cancers. But like I said, or if you're talking about oral cancer, 90% of oral cancers are caused by tobacco or HPV, and the rest 10% are genetic. So you don't have any, like I said, any say on that, right?
Right. But of course, if I mean, sometimes you know about a genetic connection if you know that something runs in families, and there might be, things that you can do to sort of decrease your chances a little bit.
Yeah, for if I'm talking in general, definitely breast cancer, other gynecological cancers, there are strong familial correlations. But when you're talking of head and neck cancers, the only cancer that has been found to have definite genetic predisposition are some varieties of thyroid cancers, like the medullary cancer and some subtypes of papillary cancers. They have some familial incidence. So even for some varieties of medullary cancers, it is recommended to do a prophylactic thyroid surgery at an early age so that the patient doesn't develop cancer. So they are usually part of some syndromes. We call it MEN syndrome, MEN, multiple endocrine neoplasia. There are with other tumors of the body as well. So yeah, that's some thyroid cancers are definitely have familial incidence.
Interesting. So quite an interesting question here this morning from Patricia. Patricia says, is vaping better or worse than cigarette smoking? So what do we know about vaping, especially as it relates to the specific cancers that we're speaking of today?
Yeah, so no, if you have to point it like that, I would say that yeah, vaping is better than smoking. But the problem is the vapors who when they breathe in, they take a lot of smoke in, a lot of vape in, right? So that's a deep breath that they take in. But there are some smokers who just puff the smoke. So there are differences. But yeah, if you have to point out like that, definitely yeah, vaping is better than smoking.
But just want to jump in there, Dr. Basu and Sandy, you would remember as well. In school, all of the education that they had around not smoking obviously would have been tobacco back when we were in school.
Right.
And I think there was a wave of heavy smokers, and then they did such a good job, probably on our generation and maybe the generation behind, that a lot of persons my age group, at least in Cayman and even within the US, as far as I could see, didn't really take up smoking, I guess, based on all that education. And now vaping, just with the sexiness of the flavors and the way you can do it at times without people really smelling it. So it's taken away all of the negative cigarette smoke. You can smell it, right, on somebody. Whereas vaping, you can't. I think the danger is it's making it more accessible to the youth. So we're probably going to get more individuals in this generation now that are younger and below that are going to have issues from smoking that we had thought we had gotten ahead of as a global society. So I think that's where vaping is dangerous. Product for product, maybe not, but where vapes are able to infiltrate, I think that's a major concern moving forward, especially when it comes to the youth.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I don't know if you would agree, but that's what I'm seeing.
No, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Particularly because of the flavor that you mentioned, that's very important actually. That draws a lot of people in.
Yeah,
you get a test.
All right, we got a caller in the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Morning again.
Morning,
I agree with those comments about vaping. There's actually a hidden danger in vaping that people don't really focus on. And the difference between smoking and vaping is that if you are actually vaping, you're not creating smoke. But what the problem is a lot of times people are using devices that burn, that actually cause the substances that they're consuming, that they perceive as vape, to be used at temperatures that exceed the smoke point of the substance they perceive to be vaping, and end up actually it being more like smoking than vaping, even though they're thinking about it as vaping. So the danger is that people use devices that are designed to heat up to a certain level for a particular substance, and they use it for a different substance.
Thank you for that.
That's true. Actually, a lot of vapes that come in the market that people buy for vaping actually has tobacco in it.
Very interesting. Wow. So we're learning lots this morning. Again, folks, the telephone number 936-2626 if you have a question or comment for our guests this morning. So we're talking about the whole area of oral, neck, and head and neck cancers. And, quite a bit of information. We've talked about risk factors, some of the symptoms. Now let's talk a little bit in screening. Let's talk a little bit about what treatments are available if you find yourself in this unfortunate position.
Okay, so coming to the treatments of, so I'll isolate the different entities separately. When we're talking of oral cancer, the treatment of choice is surgery when it is surgically operable. When the patient presents to you at an earlier stage, and you can. So treatment, the surgery for cancer is a lot different than a surgery for something else. That is because in cancer, there is a tendency of the cells to grow out of the tumor to the adjoining tissue, right? So there's something called a margin that we take. So if it's for oral cancer, 0.5 centimeter, that is half a centimeter of normal tissue all around the tumor is required. So maybe if some people has a cancer in the floor of mouth, surgery may include removal of the part of the jawbone as well.
Oh my gosh.
So that's very important. So some diseases, but still considering all the morbidities and everything associated with this surgery, but still when a patient comes with an oral cancer, the best treatment that a doctor can give is surgery. A proper surgery with margins. Sometimes if some patients come with tumors which are very advanced and not surgically operable, then we have to go for other options like radiation or chemotherapy or combined chemoradiation. And even after surgery, some patients who are surgically operable but in an advanced stage like T3 or T4, we have to go in for some adjuvant treatment with radiotherapy or sometimes chemo and radiotherapy combined. When we are talking of laryngeal cancers, then again, surgery is the treatment of choice for advanced cancers. But for early cancers, like T1, T2 cancers of larynx, surgery sometimes is not required. We can go in for radiotherapy, or even if surgery is required, it's a very limited surgery. Nowadays, we do laser surgeries and robotic surgeries to treat cancers of the oropharynx or the larynx. So surgery also has evolved over time, and the kind of surgery we do and what we used to do is a lot different now, considering the morbidities associated with it. So the lesser the surgery is required, the better it is for the patient for the long-term outcomes. Chemotherapy is not primarily indicated for oral cancers, but as an adjuvant treatment, or we use chemotherapy as something called a neoadjuvant chemotherapy, where the tumor size is very big or it is just not operable. We sometimes use chemotherapy to shrink the size of the tumor so that it becomes surgically operable, and then go ahead with surgery. Because, like I said, surgery is the best modality of treatment for oral, oropharyngeal, or laryngeal cancers. Nowadays, we have the targeted therapy, and immunotherapy is evolving every day. So new drugs are coming up with lesser morbidities and better outcomes. Oh, that's a gift to oncology, immunotherapy. So anyways, what I would like to say is early detection is very, very important for any cancer per se, but definitely for oral and oropharyngeal cancers, because it can save a lot of morbidity, can give a much better life, a much better outcome and prognosis. So you have to reduce the risks associated with oral cancer, and even if you end up having something that you don't feel is right, please consult the doctor, whoever it is, be your dental surgeon, be your ENT doctor, whoever it is. Just go get a check done and go ahead with the treatment, whatever is recommended.
Very good. All right, we do have a few more questions here. Good morning to Luis. He's joining us. Charles says, doesn't vaping have any radiation activity?
No, I'm sorry. I don't know anything about that.
Okay. All right, Charles. So it doesn't look like there's any connection there. All right, 936-2626. And of course, Shamari, you guys always try to run health screening and health checks in correlation with these events and these educational sessions. So talk a little bit about the ongoing lung cancer screening special for the month of April.
Definitely. So for the month of April, we call it Scan Easier, Scan Earlier, Breathe Easier. And for $50, you can actually get a more or less a screening where it's a low dose CT that's actually done in order to ensure that you have healthy lungs. So it's not meant for everybody. So you have to be typically 50 years or older, have a history of smoking. You can be a current smoker that quit, but if it's within 15 years, then you're still a potential eligible person to have this type of screening. And also if your family has a history of lung cancer, then this may also be the screening for you. When you come in and you actually do the screening, if it's normal, a nurse will contact you afterwards just to state that everything is normal. If Dr. Archita, who is our pulmonologist who deals with the lungs, if there needs to be a follow-up and either further test or the such, then we'll be in contact to set up that free consult with Dr. Archita. But as mentioned, just during our anniversary month, as well as the fact that this is the month for screening for lung cancer, we're offering $50. All you need, a lot of people, you're talking about drinking and otherwise will spend more than that. Just one night out or one night at the bar. So you can just spend $50, which is a huge discount of what it would usually cost, but we just want to make it accessible so as many people as possible can come and do the screening. And Sandy, just to mention that this is a part of our year-long screening, which will continue in the community. So we have different screenings also within the communities, for instance, for different topics within cancer, diabetes, general wellness, and we have free on-site screenings. When we go and we give these talks, a doc will give an overview of the topic and tell you all of the health parameters around. We'll have free screenings that will give you the results at a later date. We've done this in conjunction with the Seafarers, the Lions Club, Rotary Club, just because they too align with wanting to ensure a healthy population. And even further, we have cancer support groups that we've started. So the first one we started, obviously close and dear to our heart, in East End. And we're going to branch out district by district to have cancer support groups across the island. And also to mention that we do a lot of lunch and learns, Sandy. So we understand that professionals in their offices, it may be hard for them to get other times. So we actually come to you. And if you are a corporate entity that would like Health City to come during lunchtime to present to your professionals or all staff members across the board, regardless what industry you're in, we'll come, we'll promote health, we'll discuss healthy living, we'll discuss screening, we'll talk about our executive health program, we'll talk about various knowledge, whether it has to do with diet and the such, and we come to you and do that in the community as once again, a way for us to actually give back. And just to mention, obviously, we're doing the lung screening, but I think last week we touched on it as well, the smoking cessation program that we've actually started March 8th, which had with 8 different sessions. And I think the statistics is that it'll take you 8 to 11 times on average of trying to quit smoking until you're eventually there. So it is a process, and we're here to help you with that. And we're very excited that we're able to offer that smoking cessation to bring people within the community, just to support, to try and ensure that the Freedom from Smoking program, which is a global program, that we're bringing that to the Cayman Islands. And it's had 40 million people that have actually helped to become smoking free. And we look to help throughout the community to help persons to reduce that habit of smoking. So not only with a Dr. Agniva Bazoo, who would be here in case you have, obviously for screening as well, but if you have any issues in regards to certain types of cancer, we also want to help from the screening from the front end, because we understand that if you catch something early, then the outcomes are much better. And we also want to have a lot of education to change lifestyles, so we'll have less cancer in the Cayman Islands as well. So it's a holistic approach that Alissady puts forth into the community, and we're excited to be able to do a lot of these screenings, which you will understand, Sandy, that it takes a lot of time and resources for us to do that. Absolutely. But it's the right thing to do as a good corporate citizen in the Cayman Islands as well.
All right, folks. So lots of public education and community outreach programs. Again, if you want to find out more about the community health screenings, you can contact Alissady directly. I know you guys are even doing stuff at the Seafarers. There's a Seafarers group. There's the Lions groups, Rotary, and other community-based organizations that have been availing themselves of different presentations, expert presentations through Alissady Cayman Islands. Even MP and Minister of Health, Ms. Sabrina Turner, you guys are working with her doing some different types of screening within the prospect community, which is something I know that was going to be rolled out beyond that. So folks, everything from just general wellness, cancer, diabetes, the more you know, the better off. The more you know the factual information, the better off you'll be to really address these issues. Some of them lifestyle related. They are cancer support groups as well. Alissady is actually organizing a cancer support group throughout the various districts. Again, Shamari just mentioned starting in the District of East End. Their lunch and learn event. So if you are a corporate entity and you'd like to find out a bit more about lunch and learning, just educating, your workers. Someone just mentioned vaping in the office, and how healthy or not is that? I can tell you that having traveled recently, even in January, to New York, American Airlines ensured that part of their PSA is not just that you can't smoke on a flight, but you can't vape on a flight either. So I think more and more vaping will become part of the dialogue, and concerns around vaping in public will be picked up by organizations as well as even governments who may have to ban it in public places, just like they have other, tobacco products such as smoking. So, bring the healthcare professionals and information into your busy work environments over a lunch and learn segment that's available, where physicians can do these topical presentations. And a lot of times people are very, very shy about perhaps asking questions, but if it's in a smaller group environment around people that they already know, such as their coworkers, and they're a bit more comfortable, they're more likely to engage, with the professionals. So smoking has been identified today, folks, as one of the primary risk factors for these types of cancers. Can you tell us a little bit, Shamari, about the Alissady Smoking Cessation Program that is really aimed at helping people to stop smoking?
No, definitely. So as I was mentioning, March 8th, we were able to start the Freedom from Smoking program. So it has 8 classes. It was at Cricket Square. And with that program, over 40 million people have actually quit smoking. And it takes 8 to 11 times on average to be able to smoke. So it's a progression, it's a process. And the group is really there not to judge, as it seems would have happened in years past, but it's more for a support, to have a support group to help you with different tools to be able to stop smoking, knowing how difficult it is, because we want persons to stay tobacco free, just based on all the ailments, and on the back end, if you actually do develop cancers, how devastating it can be to families. And obviously, as I mentioned, we have Dr. Basu, who is here to help on the back end as well as the screening on the front end. But we want to do a job of making sure that people can either quit or with education to make sure they understand all of the dangers so that they don't start in the first instances as well. And Sandy, just to mention, because it's April and it is our anniversary, I didn't want to leave without mentioning that we're offering your executive health checks for the anniversary for $500. And for most part, persons within their insurance will be able to afford that in their wellness. So you can more or less come to Health City with your wellness in hand from an insurance perspective and get your executive health check, which does a holistic view of the body, where you are, the checkups, and then obviously on the back end, the physician will let you know if we've found anything or how you should go about your life in order to make sure that all your numbers and parameters are in the right areas as well. So that's something that every year we offer it for $500 during our anniversary month of April. So we're offering that as well as the lung check for $50. And yeah, we just look forward to once again being a good corporate citizen and doing as much as possible to have a healthy Cayman Islands.
Very good. All right, folks. So Charlene, final question of the day. She says, is there any, sorry, there was another question. Charlene had two questions. First one is, what advice can you give to individuals diagnosed with COPD to avoid oral cancer, if any? So tell us a little bit, doctor, about what COPD is, and is there any sort of link or correlation with oral cancers?
No, COPD is an obstructive pulmonary disorder. It's chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder. It's a group of diseases that damages the architecture of the lungs. So they're not related to smoking directly, but COPD can definitely worsen with smoking. No, I mean, there are some varieties like emphysema, this thing that can be caused by smoking. But the thing is that COPD is a disease, and smoking either will cause it or worsen it. But the only thing you can do to prevent worsening is quit smoking. There's no other way.
All right. So there you go. Seems pretty straightforward. And then she's asking, is there going to be another schedule, Shamari, for the smoking cessation if you miss the March 8th group?
Right. So that March 8th group would have had eight classes. I will check because I know we're supposed to be doing it throughout the year. I think we were going to be doing 2 this year. So when the next one actually is coming up on the next program, just give me a week and I'll or even before the week, I'll send you a message, Sandy. So if you know the person, you can message him, or next week we'll definitely discuss when we're going to be able to have the next one as well. But I know within the group, we can also train the trainer, right, as per se. So we're looking for persons who have the right deposition to be able to, who are caring, who will listen. And it would be good if there were former smokers who had quit as well, that through our process with Jennifer Weber as well, we'll be able to train so that we can have more sessions across the different districts. And it definitely is a way to give back. If you fought hard and if you've kicked the habit within your 8 to 11 tries, or even with less tries, because obviously some people would have done it with less tries, it would be great if you can give back and come and join hands with Health City and do it further in the community. And the email that it's stopsmoking@healthcity.ky. So anybody who has any questions about the cessation classes can actually email stopsmoking@healthcity.ky.
Very good. All right, folks. Thank you. We see Lance Jefferson in the house this morning. Good morning, Lance. Donna also saying that the HSA also has classes and they're free. Is there a fee for the classes that Health City Cayman Islands is offering?
No. There's no fee for the classes that we're offering, and we want as many entities as possible to offer it, because as many within the community, we're one healthcare network, and as many that are offering as possible to keep our people as healthy as possible is always welcome. And the next one, I just got the message, is at the start of June. Will be our next cessation class grouping of 8 classes. So we'll definitely get you the dates as to exactly when and where the location will be, but June will be the start of the next.
Beautiful. All right, folks. Again, thank you, Health City, Cayman Islands, here every single Tuesday for our Rundown Medical Tuesday segment. Lots and lots of information. I always walk away having learned something new, and I hope that you guys do as well. Dr. Basu, thank you so much. I know this is your first time on the program. We enjoyed having you on, and I'm sure that we'll see you again soon. And Shamari Scott, who is the head of business, chief business officer is his proper title, joining us this morning as well. So Shamari, appreciate you coming on the program, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, as always.
All right,
Thank you,
fantastic, folks.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, folks, welcome back. 936-BOBO is the telephone number. Ms. Annie Rose Scott, thank you so much for that really good question. She's asking whether or not these awareness programs can be extended to Cayman Brac. So I'm going to shoot that message over to Shamari, and I'm sure he will get back to us on that, Ms. Annie. I think so. I mean, I don't see any reason why not, right? That's a wonderful and great idea. The sister islands, part of the Cayman Islands. So thank you for that question, but we'll get some confirmation and perhaps some details on when that's going to happen for the Brac as well. Miss Anna Rose, always looking out for her Brackers, honey child. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. I saw you recently at Price Right. She comes down every once in a while to grace us with her presence. And by the way, Miss Anna Rose, congratulations on your grandson. I saw he just turned 1 year old already. I can't believe it. The time is just flying by with these little youngsters. So happy birthday to him. He is so cute. All right. So listen, folks, the cold hard truth, I'm going to give you all some cold hard truth. But before I get into further discussions this morning, I want to share something with you guys. We have a budding artist in the house, and she's asked that I share her artwork with all of you on the program today. So look at Gianna's little artwork. She says, to mom, and then that's me. This is me right here. Yes. And that's her, Gigi, over there. So, and I think it's supposed to be, although there seems to be a sun in there, I think it's a winter scene because we've got snowflakes here, and then that looks like a little, what's it called? A little snowman, and then some pine Christmas tree looking drawings here as well. So this is Gigi, the artist. I'm not sure why the paper is all torn up like this, but this is how she handed it to me. And she said, Mom, can you share this on your show? And I said, why not? So there you are. That's little Miss Gigi and her artistic ability at the age of 6. We'll see where it goes. She might be an abstract artist. Wink, wink. But listen, I see lots of improvements for sure. This is obviously stick figure people, but some of the other little drawings that she does are not too bad. You know what's a great thing to get kids? And I love to tell you all little tips that I'm finding out as a new mom, 6 years in. There's so many interesting things that are out there, educational things for kids, resources that are available. And I want you guys to avail yourself of those. There are sketchbooks that you can purchase on Amazon. They might have them here. I'm not really too sure because y'all know my Amazon queen. But little sketchbooks, and they come like in the size that's like, I guess half size or whatever. That's super easy for kids to take. They can have in the car. And so try to disengage them from electronics. I know sometimes that can be a challenge because they'd rather watch YouTube or watch a movie or whatever. But take the iPad and the phones out of their hands and hand them a book, hand them a notebook, hand them a sketch pad. And next thing you know, they'll be doodling, they'll be drawing. And, this type of stuff encourages their ability to think and to learn at a different level. She's got these, what books I really, really love is whenever I go to the States, which I haven't been traveling a whole lot recently, but gosh, there was a time I used to travel all the time. They have these educational books. Sometimes before I had my daughter, I would buy them for my friends' children. They're like comprehensive books and they're actually quite thick. And you get all the different subjects. So you'll have like math, English, social sciences, and everything science in there. And they can go to like different sections. So yesterday she was still out of school. So I was having her do a little bit of math work in the morning and a little bit of reading. She loves math, apparently. She's like, math is my favorite subject. I'm like, oh, that's good, because it wasn't mine. So maybe she got those, the love of math from her dad. I don't know. But they're fun to do. They have age appropriate. So we'll say like pre-K, first grade, like you can buy whatever grade your children are in, and they're relatively inexpensive. And it's a great way to keep kids, especially when they're out of school, to keep them engaged at least for an hour out of their day when they're on their break, doing some fun activities related to working the brain power a little bit. So I've been meaning to do this since we came back from Easter break. I'm going to take a few minutes now before more time goes. It completely escapes me. I wanted to do a big shout out to Customs, CBC. Now, y'all know last month I had a not so good experience. Actually, I should correct that, because I had a fine experience until I went outside. It was my traveling partner that had a bad experience. And then that was somehow connected to me. But you know what? I think it's important that when people get it right and they provide you with excellent customer service, that you also have those stories be told and those stories be known as well. Because at the end of the day, the managers over at CBC need to know that not all their staff are horrible, and not all their staff necessarily need to be retooled and retrained. Good morning, Carla. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandy. Dexter here.
Hello, darling.
I wanted to go and make an appointment for my son, who's been smoking for the last 30 years.
Okay.
He's come off of cigarettes and he used to smoke like a pack a day. And now he's on the vape, which is, I don't know what I've been trying to get him off with. But it nevertheless, when I saw the health city has been given this $50, I called yesterday. I was informed because he's 40. In December, he'll be 50 years of age, so he leaves like 7 or 8 years, 8 months that he's, they said, well, he doesn't meet the criteria. I says, well, if a man been smoking for 30 years, and what requirements? Oh, well, he's not 50 years of age. I said, what's the difference does it make of just a couple of months? And they give me the run around at Health City. I know Health City has been doing a phenomenal job and all their efforts, but this is really disgusting, the run around that I got yesterday when they told me that my son, who is, well, in December, he'll be 50 years old. Can you bend the rules a little bit? I don't like to assume things. I don't like to say anything that is not correct. But it seems like the person that was giving me, because he was hell-bent on me for my son to go and make an appointment with the doctor and pay $250. And then he would recommend if he needs to go. I know that he needs to go. He had never had it. He had never had it before. If you could clarify that with Shamari for me, because it's obvious that I wasn't getting in the head. We had to say they were going to call me back today, but I'm beyond myself.
Yeah.
They should. I mean, if he's 39 years of age, that's a different thing. But if you're 8 months or 7 months short of 50, what difference does it make?
Yes. Okay. We're going to get on that for you. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Dexter. Thanks too. So yes, well, Shamari is still listening to the program. He'll reach out to you, Dexter. I'll send him your contact details. So I want to give a big shout out. So let me tell y'all what happened. The Thursday before Easter, I got a phone call from Cayman Airways Cargo. So first of all, big shout out to all the Cayman Airways Cargo employees. Appreciate them a lot. I got a phone call saying, "Hey, Sandy, your stuff is here." And I was like, "What? My stuff is here?" But it literally, my forwarding company in Miami the day before delivered it to Cayman Airways. So I was shocked that it was here in like 24 hours or less, basically. And I got the phone call and they're like, "Yep, your stuff is here." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll send my husband by to do the payment." He went and sorted out the payment. And can you believe I haven't cleared anything myself? Oh my gosh, it's been so long. I just haven't done it. And I want to say probably closer to 10 years. It's been a really long time. I haven't cleared anything through customs in a really, really long time. And so when I went in, they have a new Fandangle system. You got to register. And I want to give a big shout out because, I had to figure this out. First of all the customers that were there were super useful. There was a couple people. There's a Jamaican lady who was sitting there and she's used to the process because she does it all the time. She's like, "Okay, this is what you need to do. You need to set up your password." And it's the government e-commerce or whatever they're calling it. Is it e-commerce? But basically, like, you have one login and then you get all these e-services. You get all access to all these electronic services. So I was really tickled pink to see that this is slowly but surely becoming a unified system. I absolutely love this. I think this is fantastic. So of course, I couldn't remember my password to save my life. I had to set up a new password, but big shout out to Eldisha Walton, Della Jean Williams, and Gina Rankin, who was a supervisor working that evening. Because can you believe that I think it was Eldisha who even, when she was finished, she was at the cashier. She came over to the computer. She helped me kind of go through the different steps, got it all sorted out, got my account set up, showed me how to upload, all the invoices from Amazon and so on, how to calculate like the 1% that you got to, listen, these guys were fantastic because I didn't know any of this. I couldn't remember half of how, because remember you had to do it manually at one point. So she helped put it all into the system. And also, although I didn't get their names, big shout out to the warehouse staff as well, because honey child, it was slightly after 5 o'clock. And this is Thursday before Good Friday. I'm sure they were ready to step out for their 4-day holiday weekend, but they stayed behind and assisted me with getting my boxes cleared, put everything in the car for me, and I was on my way so that I could have those things over the holiday weekend to try to continue unpacking, whatever. So big shout out to them. Really, really appreciate them. So if you see Eldesia, Miss Della Jean, or Gina, please, by all means, give them a big shout out and let them know that you heard what wonderful CBC employees they are right here on the Cold Hard Truth. And Miss Della Jean, please call me. I was looking for your number yesterday and I can't put my hand on your number and I need to link you. So please do call me. So thank you, ladies, so much. And big shout out again to Cayman Airways Cargo, who got my stuff here so fast that I think I'm going to be using their services more often now as well. I didn't realize, I'm like, in a day, those Max 8s are really, really working efficiently, I guess. So fantastic. And these are all my Amazon receipts, honey chill. The only thing that got a little bit tricky is some of the stuff I already had and already had paid duty on. And there was one item on here that they hadn't yet arrived, but I couldn't be bothered trying to break up that invoice. So I was like, you know what? I'll pay duty now on the full amount. So Eldisha said, make sure you just save. She stamped every single page. And she says, it's important that if you're doing this, like basically you're prepaying the duty, ensure that you save all of your receipts, and they put the little stamp on every page so you can, they can see that on April the 6th, this was already done and paid duty on. So they're still coming. I don't know. There's some delay with, they're those little furniture sliders that you put under furniture, and the packaging kind of like, I got some, but didn't get all. So she stamped every page and she's like, when you come back with those or whatever, you can now show this to customs, the CBC officer, to demonstrate that you've already basically prepaid the duty on those items. So thank you, ladies, and the warehouse workers, who were two wonderful gentlemen, for all of your assistance. Really, really appreciate it. So we do have some death announcements that I'm going to get to here in a second. But before I get to those, one really, death is always sad. I mean, there's no such thing as a death that isn't sad. But I just want to say this morning that unfortunately for Jonathan, you have been blocked from the program on a permanent basis. Now, y'all know I'm a mother, and I believe in as gentle a parenting approach as I possibly can. And I do put up with a lot. And, you know, I don't like to yell and scream at people, and I don't like to yell and scream at kids. And I try not to raise my voice. Yesterday, I think I was raising my voice a little bit because although I wasn't really yelling, Gianna was like, "Why are you yelling at me?" And I was like, let me check myself, because I did not think I was yelling, but she probably heard me raise my voice a little bit. And I had to apologize. I did not mean to raise my voice. But, you know, there is a finite amount of times that I'm going to speak to anybody. Children, I have a lot of time for. I will speak to a child over and over again because they're still learning. Adults, and you have children of your own, my patience with you is not going to be finite, right? Or infinite, finite? No, it's going to be finite. In other words, it's going to run out. And if I give you a warning on multiple occasions about your behavior, in particular when we have guests, if it's just me, listen, I'm all for it. I'll take you on any time of the day. I know some of y'all get up in your feelings, especially the pot smokers. There's like a pot smokers miniature association in the CMR club here. And y'all get really upset every time we talk about smoking, the danger of smoking. Y'all think it's directed at you. And, oh, Sandy hates pot smokers. I don't hate a pot smoker. I just hate pot smoking, just like I hate cigarette smoking, just like I hate vaping. And, you know, I think alcohol is something that you should do in extreme moderation. I don't indulge in any of those things, which I think are all detrimental to your health. And I'm not here to be in a pissing competition about which is worse and blah, blah, blah. And I know y'all get, like I said, really up in your feelings. But you can get up in your feelings and you can share your opinion. But what I will not allow for you to do is to be disrespectful to people. Okay? So what do I mean by disrespectful comments? I have said this to Jonathan already, and I expect him to be old enough and well-behaved enough to know how not to disrespect people. So I'm going to give you two examples, and then we're going to move on. If you guys don't like it, you know, I don't know what to tell you. Go join him over at Radio Cayman, I suppose. But my position is really, really firm. You get warnings, and at some point, I stop talking. I'm not in the business of talking just so with no action, and y'all should know this by now. So he was getting up in his feelings, and he was posting a few comments. I'm going to, again, so here he is talking about eating bad, let me just say women's privates. He had to mention that several times about that. That's what causes cancer. I mean, I think he might think that that is a funny comment. You said it once and you got away with it, and then you just kept saying it again. He went on to talk about, again, getting a bit graphic here. So, you know, block your ears if you don't want to hear it. Sticking his, he used another word, his private parts in the wrong hole, I could get HIV. None of that was part of the conversation here this morning. If you cannot be serious, folks, in your comments about what is a very serious medical discussion, by all means, have nothing to say. Just sit back and listen, or don't listen at all. You don't have to listen, right? So then he went on and on about that. Then and the last time we had, I think, the NRA on here, he was calling them imbeciles. And this is the kind of behavior that will not be tolerated in the program. Then he says, oh, nobody cares about this topic. Next subject, please. Jonathan, you may not care about your health and wellness. You may not care about important topics such as cancers that impact people. We just had Mr. Dexter call into the program. He shared with us before that he is, you know, fighting cancer. Cancers of all kinds, whether it's like we discussed today, oral, neck, and throat cancers impacts people in our communities. And these are things that are very, very important discussions. So it seems to me that Jonathan has a very narrow perimeter of the things that he does not want to hear anything about. And, you know, that's your choice, Jonathan. You don't have to hear about it, and you don't have to listen to this program, just like I don't have to have you on here listening to the program. I mean, you can still listen, but now you will not have the opportunity to comment. So it's as simple as that. Jonathan, you've been blocked. Sorry for you. For the record, I'm not a person who tends to give a whole lot of chances. So don't y'all be messaging me feeling sorry for Jonathan about unblocking him. He happens to aggravate a lot of people on the program. And I couldn't tell you on numerous occasions, people are like, oh, just block him, block him, block him. Even poor Alejandro, get him off the phone, block him. And I say, no, let him say what he has to say. I do think that some of you could keep the conversation when you call in a little bit shorter and just get to the point, especially when you're saying the same thing over and over again. We know your position as it relates to marijuana. We know how you feel, right? And if you're saying something you say every single week that the topic comes up, you don't really need 10 minutes to say it all over again, right? But, you know, I give people a lot of leeway. And then there comes a time like them old people say, you take your bucket to the well every single day. One day, the bottom gonna drop out and that's it. And we just keep it moving. So if you don't like it, sorry, not sorry. All right, e-services. Thank you, Josephine. Morning to Johan. Jim is in the house. He says, give credit where credit is due. Sue says, Book Nook, have them books. I bought them in the past for my grandchildren. Oh, good to know. They're really wonderful, actually. Soka says, you couldn't give my son anything better than a sketchbook, books in general. And you know what? At the end of the day, the more you encourage these talents in your children, the more you'll see amazing skills, you know, coming out of them. I mean, I'm no artist, but there was a time when I used to do like a lot of like sketch drawing, and I'd look at something and then trace it. And I was getting pretty good, but like anything in life, if you don't stick with it and you don't practice, you will lose that skill. So now I'm back to stick drawing because I just never developed that skill, right? KK says, stick people is life. I hate drawing and I still do stick people. Me too, because I never really focused and, you know, did more. We all have the ability to do whatever amazing things we want in life, whether we want to become artists or whatever. Just listen, 15, 20 minutes a day of consistent practice will make you an expert. Go do the research on this, right? So if you want to play basketball, play 15, 20 minutes a day. Anything that you're trying to develop into like professional level or you really love and you want to become the best at it, do it in incremental, little increments of time, but make it a daily habit and the rewards will definitely be reaped. Cece says that those are three amazing individuals over at Customs. Good morning to Richard. Yes, Richard, thank you for the reminder about the radios. Honey child, I was so busy over the Easter weekend, but I do have the list together and I'm going to go ahead and pick the location and I will inform all of you. I think most of you kind of messaged me. So by tomorrow, I'm just going to confirm the location for pickup and I'll have each of the radios with your names on it. Now, so we don't have a repeat of Christmas where people are showing up that didn't even get a prize and just taking stuff. Please go with your ID when you go to pick up your radios. But by tomorrow, Richard, I will have confirmation on the location of where you can pick up your radios from. I think I might just do it at DMS, but let me just chat with the folks over there and I'll get all the radios over to them with your names and everything on it. And yeah. Coming up, talking about the baby here in a minute, KK. Just going through a few questions. Vernita says, good morning, CMR. Thanks for giving our good, hardworking customs. Thanks for giving our good, hardworking customs staff. Yeah, well, I think I know what you mean. Poor Cece. She says, you hate pot smokers, child. Don't block me. Because I will haunt Mall Road. Listen, I've said it before. My position is very clear. Everybody has a choice in life about what they want to do, especially when it comes with their own body. If what you're doing is not impacting anyone else, so you're not smoking around children in particular, other people who don't want to be exposed to your smoke, that's on you. If you want to smoke pot every single day of your life, I honestly don't care. I mean, I'm being very frank here, right? Am I supposed to care more about your health and your well-being than you do? That's ridiculous. You know, so you have to take accountability for your own life. And if what you do doesn't impact other people, then you're free to do it. You're free to smoke as much pot as you want. I think that one day, in my opinion, you'll have regrets about that. And you know what would be really good is if we can have people who've been smoking pot for 25, 30 years come on the program and talk about it. You know, I don't know what type of cancer Mr. Dexter has, but I've always thought that we need people who were smokers of any kind who are now battling and dealing with cancers and emphysema and all these other health issues to come on programs like this and talk about how that decision, you thought you were youthful and you had all the answers and you knew everything, how those decisions ultimately came back to haunt you. And if it hasn't come back to haunt you and you think smoking is still great, and even if you have cancer and you're like, wow, I don't mind dying from cancers in a painful way or whatever, listen, just tell people. I don't have an issue with that. It is what it is. Oh, I also wanted to do a big thank you. I got a clock. I was actually looking for where I put it. I haven't put the batteries in it yet, but give me 1 second. I'm going to tell you. One of our listeners to the program was here visiting from the UK and left me a little London clock. I really want to thank you for that. So big shout out to, hold on here now. Let me pull up the message. Because I was actually able to retrieve it from Sabrina over the Easter weekend. So I did want to mention that I did get it. And she actually brought it for me because I did message her. And I said, there's a clock at your office for me. Since I'm going to see you over the Easter weekend, can you bring it? And she did bring it for me. So I want to thank, oh gosh, let me try to get the name. Hold on here now. Names. And her constituency office also reached out to me about the clock. But anyway, I got it, and I want to thank, oh Lord, hold on now. I want to make sure I'm thanking the right person. Oh my goodness, hold on. I wanted to thank you very much for the clock and let you know that I did get it. Lucille, Miss Lucille, I thought it was you. That's why I stayed on your name. Yes, Miss Lucille, I want to just confirm, honey child. Thank you very much for the present. I got your London clock. It's here in the office. I just haven't put batteries in it yet, but I'm definitely going to stick it up, and I really appreciate it. So Miss Lucille says, a very good morning, Sandy. Gigi's doing a very good job at her age. Love it. Sandy, I both batty for both of you gift, but forgot to leave them at the office also, but you will get them to buy. Love you all. Stay. Okay, but I did get the clock. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. All right, Miss Vernita says, I would tell people to buy educational toys or clothes. Very good. There's so many resources now as parents that are available online as well. There's free resources. Like she was saying to me, I said, okay, let's do some of your book work and whatever. And she's like, oh yeah, you can print stuff off. I don't know what it is about her and this printer child, but she's obsessed with a printer. And I said to her, we don't have to print and waste paper today, because she just loves to see stuff coming off the printer. She's like, delivery. And she runs to the printer and grabs it. We have her books so she can do her exercise in her books. But there are a lot of, even if you don't have these books, folks, there's a lot of things that you can print off online, lots of resources. I've shared some with you because sometimes I order the electronic books, and I'm always happy to share them. And it's PDF. You can print the different pages. The younger kids is the age that I normally order stuff for, but you can do letter tracing and basic math and all sorts of stuff. So, feel free to hit me up if you'd like some of those resources. There's one called Teachers. Hold on. It's a teacher's resource and teachers use it, but as parents, you can go there. It's called Teachers Pay Teachers, and they have all sorts of different things. Like there's this one about strategies for teachers on work-life balance. But when you go to the website, they actually have lots of materials that you can print off for your children of different ages. The one thing I like about this particular one, and it's called teacherspayteachers.com, is it has a lot of resources for all the different age groups. So I'm going to show you guys this a little bit, and then we're going to talk about the young lady in the Brac. And we got to call a few naughty people today who owe people money and see if we can kind of help them out. So Alejandro is begging to unblock you, Jonathan. Don't waste your time, Alejandro. Don't waste your time. Let me see if I can log into my account here. Email password don't match. What? Maybe I forgot my password. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna get this. All right, let's see. Send email recovery on the way. Okay, so let me just show this to you in the meantime. Although I'm not logged in, I can still show you a little bit of this. Screen number 3. Is this the right screen? Yes. Okay, so here we go, folks. You've got grades all the way up to 12. You've even got all the different subject, art and music, English language, world language, math, science, social studies, specialty, holidays and seasonal. You can choose, like if you just want free resources, if you're willing to pay, you can say, okay, $5 to $10, anything under $5. They've got worksheets, independent work packets, lessons, printables, activities, assessment, then the different centers and projects, and you can do different formats and stuff as well. Like if you only want PDF or Canva or whatever. So these are wonderful options that are available, and they'll tell you if there is an associated price with it. So say, for example, this one is a first grade math worksheet bundle. Yeah. So this bundle features 263 math worksheets for first grade. That's a really good deal. And if you click on it, you can kind of see what it's going to look like. So they have little previews of it. So I don't know if you can, it's 263 pages. Yes, you can come like this in the preview, and then it keeps giving me a PDF error. Anyway, you will probably, I think this is my PDF. That's always a problem. But you should be able to see the little preview of each one, and then you can have a look, and it'll show you like first grade fractions, first time timekeeping worksheets, and so on. And all of these are, let me try opening this in another browser. Sometimes I find that some of these things work better in a particular browser. Nope, still the same issue. But anyway, you probably won't have this issue. But you can look at it, and then you can see, you know, for 263 pages, $15 is actually pretty good. And you don't have to print the whole thing at once. You can print different pages. And then, you know, you can kind of pick and choose. I think this might be a security thing on here, why it's not allowing the preview option. But anyway, this is 263 pages worth of math worksheets, everything from numbers and place value, 2 and 3D shapes, data and graphing, fractions, and practicing, partitioning and time practicing. And so you've got all of those included in that bundle. So this is an absolutely, oops, let me go back. This is a wonderful website that offers a lot. And, you know, you have high school resources, creative writing. So this one is about fractured fairy tale. Here's Romeo and Juliet projects, mastering medical math. That sounds like fun, right in line with Medical Tuesdays. Reading drug labels, and that's only $1. I mean, these are fantastic resources, folks, for anyone in the field of education and any parent that you can utilize. And a lot of them happen to be free. Nervous system, right? Real world lessons about the nervous system. Here we have 6th grade math. This is a state prep exam. So obviously these are based on the American system and not necessarily the UK system, but still useful exercises to be able to engage the young brain. So check it out. Fantastic website. Your younger kids, here they go. They can do coloring pages, like they had stuff for Easter, Easter eggs, spring themes, whatever. And this one's only $3. But I find that a lot of them are actually free. I do free ones all the time on this website. So check it out. It's called teacherspayteachers.com. And these are teachers who upload training material, by the way. Here's one on DNA and mutations. And so, you know, this is a way for them to share their material and actually get a little bit of money for it. Here's an article in Conspiracy Theories, research essay. Make your young people research and understand how to find meaningful information, and then they can, and then they can actually, learn how to do proper research online, and not everything you read online is good material. Here's another one, resume and cover letter writing. Again, let me grab the link and I'll put it in the comment section for all of you to review. Ready to go, print and digital resources for busy teachers, but anybody can access this, including busy parents as well. So do check it out. Good morning. Mark is in the house. Johan wants to call George. No, thank you. Cindy says, but Sandy, you not see from you called out poor people mistakes. She's referring to the PPM. They resurrected and officially having a community meeting. Boy, Sandy brought them back from the dead. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Cindy, you're so funny. So yes, we did see a few people having meetings coming up on Thursday, I believe is going to be Kenneth Bryan and Alden McLaughlin. Shocker, that's who Cece's referring to. He is actually having a meeting as well. And yeah, it's been a minute since we've heard from Alden. He's been busy on the farm. So there you go. He is, yes, he's having a meeting. So those of you who are interested, go out and see what he has to say. We'll be keeping an eye. Lavana, good morning, says my youngest daughter, when she was a baby, the first thing she asked for when she woke up was a pen and piece of paper. Nice. All right, so let's talk about, we're on the topic of talking about children. This is such a sensitive topic. All of us who are parents, how much, hopefully, you love your kids and you will do anything for your children. You'll give them your last piece of bread. You will do anything for them. You'll listen, sometimes you want to pinch the little kids on the playground because they're messing with your kids. It's just one of those things where you love your children, and that type of love really knows no bounds. I feel so particularly aggrieved by this little story about Alicia. Let me make sure I get her name correct, who died in Cayman Brac, because this was a story that unfolded right here in this program. You guys remember, we got the news that morning that this baby was missing. And, we also unfortunately got the news the same morning that her lifeless body was found about 1.5 miles or 2 miles from where she lived. From the get-go, Alissady, Azalea Powell, this little toddler's death has not set well with me. I've had a lot of questions that just haven't made any, I've not gotten really adequate responses to. Of course, the community has been swirling with rumors and their family member told me this, or this cousin told me this, and you don't know what to believe and where the nonsense stops and where the real factual information begins. It's an unfortunate situation that any toddler has to die in our community, and we don't understand and we don't know the real reasons why. From the onset, the storyline of what happened when the child went missing started to shift almost immediately. And so even people who are very close to the mom said that they had questions about why there was this shifting of times and when did you really wake up and who last checked on the baby. I don't know the mother. I know the grandmother a little bit. She works at CNB. And what I would say is this is a Caymanian family that obviously is having to grieve the loss of this absolutely beautiful child who should be alive today, should be running around, playing with her friends, and having an amazing and free life. And yet her life has been snuffed out prematurely. People want questions, and they want to know really what happened to this baby. Now, the most peculiar thing is her mother did a live stream over the weekend saying that her child was murdered. And we're going to play the full thing because I actually haven't listened to it in full yet. So we'll all listen to it together. But there are questions about the mother's involvement in this and what she knew, when she knew it, and if she now is saying that the child is murdered, because remember, this happened quite some time ago. If she's now saying that this little baby was murdered, y'all need to explain to me, why is it that the police have informed me that she has never said this to them and she's never provided them with any meaningful information? This was July the 26th of last year that I was sitting here in this program hoping against hope that this little girl might have just wandered outside, cutest little thing in the world, and that she had gone missing. But, you know, we were hopeful that she would be found alive. Not in a million years did I really, really think that she would have been found. Her lifeless body would have been found later that morning. And when we called a few people and came in Brac, and we were made to understand that she had been found, and it was not a good situation. She was not found alive. You guys will remember that. I mean, I feel like this could be my child, you know, in a way. And so immediately I got very emotional about it and very teary-eyed about it, because I couldn't even imagine being in that situation. As a mother and as a member of this community, this hurts, you know. It's different when someone has had the opportunity to live a full life. You know, when people die in their 80s, you're like, well, yes, we're going to miss Granny, but, you know, she's lived a full life. She's had a good life. She's had the opportunity to, you know, have children and grandchildren, whatever. When a child, a young child, a baby dies under very mysterious circumstances, no real answers, no real accountability, I think a lot of people really feel it in a very different way. And this is certainly no exception. We have a lot of questions about what happened to this child. And so I want to know what happened to little baby Alissady and why there is no accountability for her death. A lot of you are asking questions of the mother in particular, because as mothers, we have an obligation to protect our children at all costs. And part of protecting your children means that we're not exposing them to dangerous people or dangerous situations or dangerous circumstances. Because you can't jump up and say to the police, oh, you're not doing your job and you have somehow failed in solving a murder because I got a threat. You know, why are you exposing yourself and your children, more importantly, to situations like this, where they are having less than desirable people in your home? And like I said, I don't know anything about this mother. She looks like a beautiful person on the outside. I've heard some concerns about drug use and other things that I would have to believe, because listen, my sources on the Brac, everybody knows who's doing drugs over there, honey child. And I keep telling y'all that the drug situation, the Brac in particular, is very, very, very prevalent. And you know, some people are able to dabble in it and they think that they don't have an addiction. They're snorting cocaine, they're smoking crack, whatever it is that they're doing. But, you know, they're exposing, if they have children, they are exposing their children, folks, to dangerous situations and dangerous people. Because let me be very, very honest. If you are on any kind of intoxicating chemical, whether it's alcohol, you know, crack cocaine, whatever it is that you're smoking that takes you away from your children, we got a problem. Or whatever it is you're inhaling or snorting, however you're injecting it, however you're taking it. If you have drugs in your home or you're taking drugs, you're exposing your children to that lifestyle in that situation. And sometimes children will inadvertently get into something and they don't know the dangers of what it is. They see you doing stuff and they think, oh, I can do that too. Why there's this, you know, storyline about how the boyfriend who has been arrested for drug, what's the offense that he's been arrested and charged for? Drug trafficking or drug supply or whatever that offense is, who, you know, isn't the best character in the world from all accounts. Why are you in a relationship with him, exposing this man to your children? And then supposedly he was changing the baby's diaper. Are you crazy? Hello, folks. For more reasons than one, nobody's going to be coming in my house talking about they're going to be changing my baby's diaper, and definitely not some new boyfriend that you just had for a couple months. Like, there's just a lot of things that do not sit easy with me. The community has questions. So sit back and listen to the live stream, folks, that this mother put out this weekend. If you've not heard it yet, you know, even Jim says this was very strange, that mother's live stream. I think a lot of people found it strange, and it probably made people ask more questions than got any answers. And so here it is. Sit back and listen to it, and then we'll discuss it a bit more.
So for those of you all that don't know me, I am Ivani Dixon Powell, mother of Alissady Powell, the little girl who was found lifeless on the Iron Shore of Brac on July the 26th, 2022. I'm making this video because I've really been holding my shit together. Doing everything I can possibly do to get justice for my daughter. I am really disappointed and frustrated with the lack of effort on behalf of the RCIPS. So just to say how this all goes, yeah, I've been very consistent with communicating with them, whether it's WhatsApp or emails. I am overwhelmed with the fact that I recently had a phone call, or actually a Zoom call, with them, stating pretty much they exhausted their resources. I gave them my word I would assist them in any way possible. This is my child. I want justice for her, and I'm not going to stop until I get it, one way or the other. I've even hired a private detective and private forensics, and they've gotten back to me with much more information than what the RCIPS have given me. And just bear in mind, like, I'm spending thousands of dollars doing this, right? And for them to tell me that they have exhausted all of their resources, and I am telling them, and I've showed them a report from the private people I have hired to look into this, since they've exhausted their resources, they're going to turn around and tell me they're going to have to look into it for to see if these people are accredited, basically, right? So what really gets me with the RCIPS through this whole investigation process is, though I've reached out and I've done my part more than probably most people would have done, and the fact that they're telling me they have to check for sources to see how accredited this company is, when you just told me you exhausted all of your resources. I'm paying thousands of dollars to get this shit done, and you're gonna tell me that it's possibly a waste of fucking time? Don't tell me that me hiring private fucking people is a waste of fucking time. All right, this is my child, this is my blood, my belly peen. Like, you don't do that shit, you don't say that shit. And, you know, just to put it on record too, in order to get a fucking response from these people, I had to email the Honorable Franz Manderson as well as the governor's office to get some kind of feedback. You don't do that to someone. You don't do that to a mother. Like, I'm over here really holding my shit together, praying, being humble, following up 24/7, like I said, by WhatsApp, by emails, not getting a response, and then having to go to escalate it to that point of reaching out to government officials, and then to be told that, okay, you can have a Zoom meeting. And yeah, so to be told that you can have a Zoom meeting, and like I said, we did this Zoom meeting, and they provided me with what they want to call their results or whatever, which I told them was bullshit, because my daughter did not drown. And for me to be able to send pictures and information, autopsy results, to a private place, private people, and for them to tell me otherwise, clearly RCIPS is not doing their job. I think it's quite evident my daughter didn't walk 1.6 miles in what would have been considered a thunderstorm that morning. Her foot bottom was fucking clean. Like, I identified her, I changed her, I dressed her. Yes, so I dressed my daughter for her funeral. I was the one to identify her. I have done it all, and nobody can even understand how I am feeling right now, with having no answers whatsoever. Just them telling me, okay, well, hey, we're gonna summarize our report, we're gonna send it to the coroners, and we'll see what happens from there. My daughter was murdered, okay? I think everybody fucking knows that shit. So I'm just putting it out there that RCIPS, y'all need to get on this shit together. And also, there's so much more to this, because there were so many things that was said about me as a mother, and a lot of you all don't even know me. My children come first. My children have always been my first priority. What RCIPS needs to tell you all was that I was attacked 2 weeks prior to my daughter's death, and was threatened by someone very well known to me, and someone who had access to my house. And that was just all out of jealousy. I was actually hospitalized. This person is actually in court for me, and threatened to kill me or kill anyone for their sibling. So, yeah, I was threatened 2 weeks prior to my daughter's death. And the person is in court with charges for what they have done to me, for threats to kill, assault, damage to property, the whole 9 yards. And then 2 weeks later, my daughter ends up dead. So y'all put the pieces together and start making this shit look like my daughter walked out the house, and like this wasn't fucking drowning or accidental adventure or whatever you want to classify it as, because she was fucking murdered. And if you don't find a killer, then I will. And you don't want me to do that. Trust me, I've been holding it together. It's so unfortunate that so many things happen within our islands that go unsolved. And I know a lot of it is because you just have a lot of dirty fucking cops, and all the corruption is just being swept under the rug. But I will say this: my daughter is going to get justice. I will escalate things until I cannot escalate it anymore. I will go to every media outlet. I will put it on BBC News. I'll put it on CNN. I don't care where I have to go. But I'm not going to stop until Alissady gets justice. Y'all don't know what this feels like. And this is an innocent 2-year-old. A 2-year. So, I'm done being humble. I'm done being nice. I have stuck my face in the Bible for the last 8 months, praying and keeping the faith. And I'm only human. So at some point, I will start to lose the faith because I'm not getting answers. I'm not getting results. I'm not getting anything. But, like I will reiterate again, my daughter will get justice. So, that was my piece. It was long overdue, like I said. I've sat here and I've been very patient. I cry every day. I pray every day. I update with her every Tuesday. I know the weeks as they cross, how many weeks it's been, how many months it's been. It doesn't get any easier. But yeah. So just putting that out there, that our RCIPS really needs to straighten up and do better when it comes to investigations and results and whatnot. At the end of the day, I really don't think that they want to find who did this, or possibly they're afraid of the person. You never know, but so much dirty shit be happening on these islands.
All right, folks. So that is her statement. Like I said, we're all listening to it in full here for the first time. It's very unfortunate, and I think unfortunately, people have a lot of questions for her. I mean, let me be very, very honest here. There are not very many people that walked away from even listening to that have any sympathy for her or even believe her. And this is really, really quite unfortunate, because I think what this young lady needs to do, and what should have been done from the onset, is just be completely honest. July of last year, we're now in the month of, what is this, April? July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 9 months. If you believed that your little Alissady was murdered, you're going to wait 9 months to speak out about a police investigation that you think has gotten it wrong? That doesn't even make any sense to me. You know, from the first day that this happened, we, Joe Public, were asking questions about what happened to this child. And we were asking so many questions that at one point, people were saying to us, well, it's really none of your business to be asking these questions. She wasn't your child. And I'm like, hold on a second. Normally, when these types of situations happen, a child goes missing, a child's found dead under suspicious circumstances, an entire community rallies around this. And in most jurisdictions around the world, the police would have had a press conference about what happened to the child and provided any information that they can. Here's what I know from the perspective of the RCIPS. Months ago, you guys were asking me, Sandy, what's the update with this child? What has happened to the child? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, let me check. I went to the top of the RCIPS, and they have said there's no indications of foul play. And if people in the community believe that this child has been murdered, or something else has happened to this child, they need to come forward and provide the RCIPS with information to help them along those lines of inquiry. But there's nothing that they have found that has led them down that path. We don't know. I mean, she says the baby was found with clean feet and this, that. We don't know any of that. In part because in this jurisdiction, the police are very protective of that type of information. They provided it to the family. So unless a family member can come on this program and tell us this is what the RCIPS has said directly to me, and that person is credible and believable, we have no way of knowing whether the child had clean feet, dirty feet, whether she was washed, whether drugs are found in her system. We know nothing of those details. Now, what this mother could have done, right? She did this video asking, and my apologies for the use of a few words I did not know were in there. She did this live stream on Instagram. She did tag us. So now we're allowing you guys to hear it. I wanted you guys to hear it for yourselves. She's saying that her daughter was murdered and that she was threatened 2 weeks before. Then, young lady, you need to explain to us why you've never gone to the police with this so-called theory of yours. I reached out to the RCIPS in advance of this morning's show. And I said, this mother is making a very serious allegation against you all, that you're not doing your job. Somebody's in court for threatening her life, and this person had access to her house. This is what the RCIPS has responded. Firstly, the RCIPS acknowledges that this is a particularly difficult time for Ms. Dixon. I can confirm that Ms. Dixon has not provided any information to the RCIPS to confirm that the death of the infant child occurred in any criminal circumstances. How can you do a live stream on Instagram and then not provide said information to the police? They should be the first ones that you're talking to. Don't come on Instagram. There's no need for you to come on Instagram 9 months after her death, put on makeup and look good. You can see that she did it in several different, the video is put together, but it was kind of like, it was actually chopped up in different segments, right? At one point, it looks like somebody might have been talking to her and she had to cut it and then come back to it, whatever. Listen, none of this makes any sense. What's her name? Navanya Dixon? None of this makes any sense to me. And I have a lot of questions for you. We would love for you to come on the program and explain to us everything that you said happened that night with your child. Somebody threatened you 2 weeks before. You said that person is now in court for threats to kill and whatever. Who is that person? Why aren't you just saying they're already in court? So you're more than free to name the person. You believe that that person is responsible for your child's death out of jealousy? Somebody threatened me and they're going to have access to my house where I have a 2-year-old child living? You have got to be crazy. None of this makes any sense. It really is just unbelievable. And I'm afraid to say that you've not really done yourself any justice with this live stream, because people are like, girl, please, bye. We don't believe you. Now, there's two possibilities here. And I know people want to believe that the child was murdered. The more likely possibility, this was a result of neglect. That the child wasn't murdered. Maybe something happened to the child. Maybe the child got into something that she should not have gotten into. Maybe it was an accidental death and then she was moved and placed where she was placed. That is a very possibility that after the fact, there was some sort of cover up to not make it look like the mother was being negligent or other people were being negligent around the child. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Now, I'm not a detective and I really know this is a sensitive situation and stuff, but I personally feel, and I ask God to forgive me if it's not so, according to my sources in the Brac, the company that the mother keeps, I want to believe, and I'm sure everybody's afraid to say it, but I'm going to say it. I feel that child found some sort of drugs inside of that house and thought it was candy and ate it. Whether the mother was high up or not, and the child overdosed, and they took her to the ocean and make her drown, accidentally drown because they couldn't take her to the hospital and say that the child had overdosed. Make it make sense. Whether the child's foot was cleaned or not. How can you say you checked on your daughter, changed her pamper, and not gone back and checked before morning up? Who does that? I'm sorry. If I lost a child I would be shattered. I would be wrecked. Sandy, accidents happen because y'all know my situation with my child. You understand? Children are adventurous, but no child going to get up that time of the morning and go all 1.5 mile or whatever the case may be to the ocean.
Yeah.
No child, unless no adult wasn't present. She didn't see no adult or anything and went walking, wandering, trying to find somebody. We need to know what happened. And this mother knows more than she is saying. Yes, you might have been assaulted, beaten, or threatened or whatever. You need to come and talk about what happened to that 2-year-old, that innocent, beautiful 2-year-old, because we ain't buying the crap you on here talking about blaming the RCIPS. Franz Manderson never breed you. Governor's office never breed you. RCIPS never breed you. You had one job to care for your daughters. And I need all mothers in the Cayman Islands to take this as a learning experience. When you're a parent with children, you need to be careful of the company you're keeping who has access to your children, especially with girl children. Yes, we need to protect our boy children too. But a girl child, I don't take no check and I don't play about my kids. This is not even my child, and I get emotional even watching that video because God no man. She needs to come forward and speak the truth. She need to. I don't care if anybody like me or say I too outspoken. The truth is the truth. She know more than she's talking. She needs to come out and speak the truth because God see and know and he don't sleep nor slumber. If you were high up and never know nothing about your child, you'll have to live with that for the rest of your life, not RCIPS. Have a nice day, Sandy.
936-2626 is the telephone number. We have a caller in the WhatsApp. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Sandy. Yes, I'm 100% with that previous caller, that caller just now. Listen, there is nothing in this world that tells me that she making any sense. Nothing at all. And if you put it, you don't even have to go far to put it on. But let me tell you something. You see that thing that we all born with, conscience. Your conscience will kill you. Because you're going to wait 9 months. You're going to wait 9 months fixing this, fixing that to see how it sounds best. I want to tell her mother, be very careful how she talk, because if I was a detective, I would be starting that case right now with her. Honestly, that's my say.
All right, folks. 936 Bobo is a telephone number. Thank you, callers for the comment. I mean, it's just very, very unusual. I don't know. Somebody said in the WhatsApp that she must be the strongest woman in the world, because for her to even be able to talk about the loss of this child and not shed a single tear. I mean, me just recalling how we found out that morning about the child going missing, makes me tearful. So I don't even understand this. Like I'm at a loss for words at what we're now hearing. And I'm sorry, but 9 months for you to come forward if you believe that your child was murdered and you received a threat 2 weeks before, there would be no investigation in the world, no RCIPS, no nobody that would be able to stop me from speaking up immediately. You know what I'm saying? Heads would be rolling from day one. I don't understand this. And the police have said throughout this investigation, they have been in contact with the parents of this child and they provided them with information throughout. So if they were saying to you from the onset that this looks like, an accidental situation or a death by misadventure, and you had concerns, why is it that you're only speaking up now? I mean, what is her name? Ivania? Yvonne Dixon? You really have to have your story make sense, because doing a video like this and then tagging us in it, like I said, isn't doing you any favors, because your story just doesn't add up. Remember, we received information that morning about when supposedly the child was last seen during a diaper change and all this kind of stuff. And that your then boyfriend, I don't know if you're still seeing this person, was outside having a smoke. And, I don't, none of it makes any sense for me. There was only one access point for the child to come in and out of, one door. And she walked by this man. And even the time frame of when the child was initially found, that seemed to have been adjusted later on. when it was last seen. I mean, as Ms. Darlene just said, I'm not sure how anybody who might have had any role to play in this child's care, generally speaking, even if this was death by misadventure because of negligence, I don't know how y'all sleep at night. I really cannot fathom how that is possible. The community deserved answers from the very beginning. And if they're family members who know what happened to that child or have an idea of what happened to that child, the child was in the care of the mother, I think the community at large deserves some answers. And it's unfortunate that the police, in my opinion, which I understand their protocols, have said that they can only deal with just the family and nobody else, because this has been a community matter. And now you're getting the community involved, with this live stream event where essentially you have said that your child was murdered. Well, tell us who you believe murdered your child. Explain to us how someone can have access to your child that threatened you 2 weeks before. Why on earth, as a mother, would you ever in a million years allow that to happen? I don't get it. And if you really thought that your life was at risk, Abby's asking for the telephone number. 936-2626 is the telephone number. If you actually believed that your life was at risk, right? And you've got a child in your care and your child's life would also be at risk, why would you be associated with these people? Why would they have access to your house? What do you mean by that? They have access to your house? How? They were a former roommate? They have a key to your house? 2 weeks go by and you're not going to take any actions to, rectify that situation? I'm at a loss for how any of this happened to this poor child. Most people find it unbelievable that a child would walk even 1 mile in the dark on a stormy night away from the only place that it knows for the last couple months as a place of hopefully safety and a home. So we can all agree, I'm in agreement with the mother in that doesn't make any sense. But you have to explain to us why. I mean, what actually happened? Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program. Hello, caller. Good morning. Hello? Hello. I think your connection might be bad. We'll call you direct, my dear. Let me see if we can call you direct. Sometimes in the WhatsApp, it just depends on where you are, obviously. If the connection isn't good, then it's not going to be a good call, but we'll give you a call, see if that helps any. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, I have a lot of questions. So let me just call you direct because based on that last attempt, the call was,
Hello, morning.
Morning. You're live on air. You were trying to call in the WhatsApp?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
I that video that you just played with the lady that her child died from Cayman Brac.
Mhm.
I listened that video before you play it just now, and to be honest, I don't see nothing in it. There's no emotion, nothing at all.
Mhm.
I live here in Cayman, and I have my 2 daughters back in Jamaica.
Mhm.
And to be honest, if my daughter call me and tell me that she's not feeling well or her tummy is hurting her, can you imagine the emotion that I am going through as a parent, not being there to console my child? Furthermore, my child is dead.
Mhm.
Basically, everything that she's saying is just her conscience. That is just her conscience. You don't see no emotion, nothing in there. She don't have no remorse, nothing about her. Her story just not add up, none at all, period. When she basically I said don't even make no sense. Because there's no way my child, somebody could have me feel like that somebody take my child life then. I'm going to wait until 9 months to come and talk. This man could have bad till he can't bad no more, whether man, woman, or whatever this person is. Could I'm bad till then can't bad no more. Nothing at all couldn't stop me from talk. Point blank when that just happened. And you are going to wait until 9 months. You will say you will do anything to get justice for your child and this, and then you're going to wait until 9 months. A child where you carry inside of you for 9 months. You're going to wait until 9 months to get some form of clarity what happened to your daughter. With no little remorse, nothing at all. She just late, she just kick back and relax, and basically she just a chill. That's how me see she just a chill, because if me there came and when me sometimes even I call my daughter phone and me know she leave school and me not get her, my head space gone completely. Trust me, man. She needs to talk. She needs to talk what happened to her daughter, because deep down inside her, she know, but she just try to take all eyes off of her. She know what happened to her daughter. But may God will be with her on time. Thank you, Sandy.
All right, dear. Thanks very much. 936 Bobo is the telephone number. I don't know what else to say. Ms. Darlene was asking about what are the police saying in terms of cause of death. This is what the police have said as of this morning. Again, they have said that the RCIPS acknowledges and can confirm that Ms. Dixon has not provided any information to the RCIPS to confirm that the cause of death of the infant child occurred in criminal circumstances. So again, it must have been some sort of misadventure, and that they're happy to reach out to her to seek a formal interview to obtain any evidence that she might have to assist their investigations. As it stands now, our file is almost complete and will be submitted to the coroner for review and inquest. If any evidence comes to light, the coroner will be advised accordingly. So they're almost completing their file, and this is when you come forward. Everybody in their dog knows by now that the first 48 hours after any major incident is the time that you come forward with critical information. So if you believe that somebody was threatening you, weeks before this situation, you come forward with the evidence immediately that you think can assist the investigation. Yeah. You don't wait 9 months to then say, oh yeah, somebody was threatening me, and I think those people are the ones who harmed my child. I'm just not understanding it. Even if you she said she hired a forensic team. Okay. If you hired a forensic team, you should have hired them immediately, and they should have been here on the ground. If you didn't think that the RCIPS had the resources to handle this case properly. Now, keep in mind that the RCIPS actually brought in a child forensic expert from overseas. So this isn't the regular officers that dealt with this situation at all. Right? So they brought experts from overseas. They brought people in. So I don't know how your expert stacks up against them and their experts, but I don't think that they took this case. In my opinion, they treated this case with a degree of urgency that was necessary in the circumstances, because everybody was upset that a child could be dead in this community and under very questionable circumstances. Right? The following month after the child is found dead, the same boyfriend that she was in a relationship with was charged with cocaine possession and other things. We need some answers, honey child. We need some serious answers. These were people, unfortunately, that you had exposed and around your child. No, honey child. That can't possibly work. There's just too many questions there that remain unanswered. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hello. I'm the sister of Alissady, and I have a few words to say.
Okay. Please don't use any profanity on the show, okay?
I won't. I just have some questions for Ivani, because if she really do think my sister was murdered, why she gotta wait so long? And being as though she know the results of the autopsy or whatever, why don't she share with the rest of the family? Keep in mind, I'm her sister from my dad's side.
Mm-hmm.
And since the baby has died, she has not been wanting to give us no answers. And honestly, I feel like my dad is hurting more than what she's hurting. She put on this show and her story has changed so much times. But if
can I ask how old you are? Are you over 18?
No, I'm 16.
You're 16 years old. I'm very sorry for your loss, but I mean, this is obviously something that you are hopeful that the adults can get right and can communicate with each other. And to the best of your knowledge, the police are sharing information with the mom that you guys are not privy to?
No, we don't know anything. They're only sharing it with the mom. All they're telling us is that she's drowned. They're not telling us nothing else. They've been telling the mom everything, but the mom is choosing not to say anything to our side of the family. And we've been reaching out to them for so long and still not getting no answers.
So they said that the child drowned?
That's all they said to us, yeah. And that they suspect no foul play. But I think it's very clear that she did not drown. And I honestly feel like the mother has something to do with it, but she's speaking now and making it seem like it's somebody else, because that's her way of admitting that she did it. That's just personally how I feel.
My God.
And I feel like the police should do their job more, and question the mother, because her story has changed many times since the baby have went missing.
Can you speak to some of the inaccuracies in your opinion? And again, obviously, you know, I'm mindful of the fact that you're only 16 years old, but what have you heard that you think is inconsistent, and where has the story changed?
The story has changed from what time she told us she got up to change the baby diaper and what time she last saw the baby, because 1 minute it was she changed the diaper, then the next minute it was her boyfriend changed the diaper. Then it was said that she didn't even have the baby that night, that she was out. So it's like so many different things, and we don't know what to believe at this point. But I honestly have a strong feeling that it's the mother that has something to do with it. And I feel like the police should interview her again and get another story again to see if it changes again, because she obviously has something to do with it, because my sister is not going to walk 1.6 miles. I know my sister really well. Me and her was very close. Imani did sign to that baby, and my sister was the sweetest baby, so why would anyone want to hurt her? She was only 2. She didn't do nothing. Ivani is her mother. That was her job. If she was really attacked, why when my father begged for her to leave the baby the weekend before she died? She came on to make the baby see my father. My father begged her for the baby to stay with him for the weekend so she can see her sisters, and Ivani said no multiple times. And that's the first time that she would not allow the baby to stay with my father, because any other time she would allow the baby to stay and see the other side of the family.
And why do you think, I mean, I know obviously it's speculation, but why do you think she didn't want the baby to stay?
I'm not sure. Honestly, my theory is that this was planned, because she's not really, I'm not trying to throw no shade at her or nothing, but from my experience of staying with her when I was living with my father, she's not the best mother out there. And her children are never her first priority. That's just what I have to say from my experience. Okay, she does like to leave the children home by themselves in the past and stuff. So my theory is that she left my sister home, and my sister found something in the house and end up consuming that. That's my theory, because she have did that before and came on Brac. She does like to leave children in the car and go out and have her fun. She doesn't really put being a mother first.
Yes. And I mean, we have heard even here on this program, the day that it happened and the story started to come out, we heard that, you know, this mother has gone to the local bar in the Brac and had the children sitting in the car on the iPad, and the police have spoken to her about it and said, you can't do this with your children while you inside drinking and leave them unattended outside. I mean, I know everybody thinks the Brac is a sleepy place and nothing ever happens, but this is proof, unfortunately, that things can and do happen. So, you know, it's a very, very sad situation, but I think there has to be some element of, I don't know that the child was murdered, but I do think that there's some element of neglect here. And the only person who would get the blame for neglect is the person who had primary care of the child, which is the mother. And I suspect that is why she's seeking to do some sort of damage control ahead of the actual finalization of the report. And then shortly after that, we'll follow the the court inquest, which will be a situation that's open to the public. So all of us can go and hear the findings of the police as it's presented, and of the investigation as it's presented in open court. So I don't know if that's because they feel like that is coming shortly, that, this live stream or this, thing has gone up. But I mean, I think that there's a lot of questions here.
Yeah, there is. And the only person with the answer to those questions is Ivani. And again, she's not talking. Her story keeps changing. I really do feel like the police needs to do their job and hold her accountable for negligence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel like. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Very, very sad situation. I know a lot of people were saying that they were hopeful that, she would call into the program and just answer these questions directly. Again, unfortunately, her live stream didn't answer any questions for us. If anything, it created more questions. And I think that that's unfortunate. Just throwing out there that your child has been murdered. You don't say who, you don't say the reason why. People don't normally go around murdering a innocent 2-year-old child because they're jealous of the mother. That is, I'm not going to say it's never happened, but the chances of that happening are pretty slim. I mean, come on. So I don't know. Someone who's familiar with the situation. Says that the only reason she hasn't been public, not that she hadn't wanted to, is because she'd been asked to stay low while assisting with the investigation, and Edward did not ask her to leave the baby with him. So I don't know. I mean, this sounds like such an unfortunate mix-up situation and story. Very, very, very sad. So I don't know. This person also says that they feel like a lot has been hidden. She's been trying to stay on top of the RCIPS, actively working with them and providing them with everything she knows, thinks, and feels about this. Well, the RCIPS is saying differently. So I'm a bit confused by that. She's been working with a private forensic company in the US, and they provided her with more details than the RCIPS could or can. When you say private forensic company, I want to know, what did they provide? So were they on the ground here? Did they have access to the body? Like, what information, the information that they're providing, where are they pulling that from? That's what I need to know. Did they have access to the body? Somebody's saying, oh, the body should be exhumed. My God, 9 months later to go dig at that little baby. For what reason? You need to have a very, very good reason. Janetta's asking about a lie detector test. I don't think they're used here, but most of the times they're not anything that can be admitted in a court of law in any event. Abby says that he was in Cayman. So this private investigator that she hired, this forensic company, was actually here. And so they had access to what? Lab reports. They had access to the police reports that then they made their own reports from, or did they actually have an opportunity to examine the body themselves? So this person confirms that when she sent them the report a few weeks ago from the company, they had the audacity to state on the latest Zoom meeting last week that they hadn't even read or reviewed the report as yet. And on the last meeting, the police confirmed that it was going to take several weeks to complete their due diligence and confirm the accreditation of the company. So that's where now she's saying they're at. And of course, I mean, from the police's perspective, they can't just be taking a report from any and everybody and accepting it as valid. I mean, surely they will want to do their due diligence. I'm not really sure why that takes several weeks. I guess maybe they must be busy with something else. But you would think that that would be something that's of a priority that would take a week or so. But I don't know what checks and balances they actually have to carry out, what due diligence is required. Somebody said that since this video has come out, they have reached out to the company and apparently asked to work with them now. The whole thing is just unbelievable. I don't know. I mean, like I said, lots of questions here, folks, and just not enough answers. And everyone wants to know if this was an accidental drowning. Where did the child drown? What sort of fluid was in her lungs? Was it ocean water? Was it, was it a pool water? What exactly was it? Because there'll be different types of, people can drown from all sorts of things. They can drown, a child can drown in a bathtub of very little water. So I'm sure that the water in the child's lungs, if the child was analyzed, would have to be something that they could tell us. But, the police isn't going to say any of this. They're going to complete their report and they're going to hand it over, as they have indicated, to the coroner so that they can do for review and inquest. And then, that's when the public will find out some of the details. So all I can tell you at this point, folks, is we will continue to monitor this situation. The mother has an open invitation to come on this program and to talk to the people. I think the conversation needs to be open and frank, and she needs to be honest with people. You can't just put out a one-way communication and expect that people are not going to have answers about what transpired. Andrea says babies are afraid of lightning and thunder and lightning. I've never seen a baby not run when they hear thunder. And that morning it was raining like crazy and heavy thunder and lightning. That baby did not leave. Someone took her there. Jim says, was there not a proper autopsy completed? This would have told if she drowned by having water in her lungs. Well, they did, Jim. And in fact, I was trying to find the article where the police actually indicated that they were bringing in a child forensic specialist or something. And I do recall that being said. And so, they would have had the best experts available to them, in my opinion. But of course, we're not going to have any of that information available to the public until the coroner has the inquest and then it's officially released. So, no arrests have been made in relation to this. The police say that there's no criminal element to it. I guess they're not going to charge her with negligence because that could be criminal as well. But they have said that she has not provided any information to them to confirm that the death of the infant child occurred in criminal circumstances. And so if she has any such information, the police have said she has not provided it to them. So I don't know. I mean, if I thought my child was murdered, it wouldn't just be the police that would know about it. It would be everybody. I'd be yelling it from the rooftops. And for people to say, oh, she's trying to keep a low profile, I am just not buying that. I just don't know. That just doesn't make any sense to me. You don't get anything accomplished in this country by keeping a low profile. I'm sorry to say, in case you missed that memo. Jess says, love to you, Abby. Hugs to your sisters, John, Janet, and the entire family. What is done in darkness will come to light because we have a God up above. God bless. Good morning, Karnath. How are you? KK says, I know him and quite aware, but thanks, hun. It's just really, really an unfortunate. It's heartbreaking, to be honest. Lucille says, Sandy, I am so angry listening to that mother. Sandy, why she did not say it before. I am poor, but don't care how bad my child is, and something like this happened. I have nothing more to say. That caller said everything. Police need to go do their jobs. Yes, go and pick her up. God bless that poor baby soul. I feel sick listening to her. God forgive me. Miss Vernita says, I'm sorry. I'm a sitting hen mother. You try go after my kids and I will pick you. That's only if they're doing righteousness, though, and may have made a mistake and repent. Sonia says, my condolences to you, Mama. I pray that justice you deserve for your little princess going home to Jesus to be with his angel. Alejandra says, I'm no investigator, but Sherlock Holmes was my favorite. Okay. Cece says, nobody has access to me like one time, especially when my one daughter is, nobody has access to me like one time, especially with my one daughter. Is you sick, girl? I don't even know how you live with yourself because, baby, this video is a whole leap of nothing. Alejandro says, there we go. It was a fight. Let's do some real investigating going on now. Don't make me have to make some calls because I know RCIPS. And I mean, the thing about it is we can't assume that the RCIPS has done anything wrong. Just because she's of that opinion, we can't make that assumption. Because here's the other thing, right? If I was going to take the time to do a live stream and to do a video accusing the RCIPS of not doing their job, I would have come better prepared. I mean, she looked like she took more time working on the makeup than actually preparing to speak at the topic at hand. I would have said, on this date, this happened. The RCIPS responded on this date. And then they said this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like, bring the receipts, show us with detailed information. That video was so vague. You don't even say who supposedly threatened you. You only say, oh, somebody threatened me, and now it's in court. Threaten you about what and what for? And you're saying that they attacked you in what way? And how did that then lead to your child being in danger? Like, you know, I think it's just too loose on the details. There's just not enough information there for it to really make any sense. We need to understand what happened. And if you want us to be supportive of you in this journey, and you want to call out the RCIPS and saying that they're not doing their job and the child was murdered, you've got to give us something of substance. And I did not see anything of substance in that video. I'm in agreement with Cindy. I heard a whole pile of nothing, really. Miss Alma says, so if I'm understanding what she's saying in this video, is that someone gained access to her house during the night and removed the child from the home without her knowledge, or did she actually have an idea of who removed the child? Again, Alma, we don't know any of that because she was just like, oh, this person has access to my house. What does that mean? And you only had one door in and out. Anybody got walked through my front door and I don't know in the middle of the night? I don't think so, honey child. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. This is Edward's aunt.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay. Ivani got one thing right about the police. Mm-hmm. They should have arrested her from that morning for neglect. We came back to the funeral. She didn't want to open the casket for us to see that baby. Mm-hmm. She had the makeup on that baby face, had it really brown, but you could still see bruises and locks on that baby face. Ivani know what went on with that baby, and that's where the police wrong because they should have her in jail. Edward begged her, came back to her grandmother's funeral. Edward begged her for 1 month. He had to be out from work to take care of the baby because she didn't want nobody else to have the baby but him. And his mother called her and told her that if she didn't come, they wouldn't have no shelter over the head and they wouldn't have no food to eat. So she came and got the baby, but she wouldn't stay. She went back him and Brac. So Ivani know what happened to that baby. That baby never drowned. She was involved in the killing of that baby, is my belief, and that's why she waiting so long to come out. She need to tell the truth. The police need to arrest her. I hear she don't live here no more. She living up the States still. But it was a jealousy. As she talking about is her boyfriend and her and his sister had a threesome, and the sister I hear is a lesbian, and she was jealous then of her and her brother.
I did hear early on there was some bad blood between her and the boyfriend's sister. And there's lots of allegations about all these parties being involved in the drug scene at some level in Cayman Brac as well.
Ivani need to tell the truth, if not her conscience and kill her. So she need to tell the truth about that baby. And that baby never even used to cry. Ivani would come here and sit down on my porch with them 3 little children she got, and she would be here sometime over half a day with them. But if she didn't want a baby, well then come here because she's not working and give me the little baby. I would have taken it. That pained me to my heart. I still cry. She involved in it, and she need to tell the truth. My 2 sisters and one of the Edward daughters when came on back after it happened when Ivani went in hospital. She seen him coming, she run, her and the boyfriend was outside smoking. She run, and then they never got sight of her again. She called my sister this Sunday and told her the story about getting up and changing the baby papa. My sister gave me the phone. She said she had changed baby papa. She take the little black tights that she had on and throw them up over the chest because they were all wet up. And then she went outside. Then she woke up, heard the door, and she went outside. She looked for Ali, and she couldn't find her. Then she went outside and asked her boyfriend where she was, and her boyfriend said that she was in the bed sleeping. She said, no, Ali's not there. She knew what went on. She is a liar, and she needs to tell the truth. That baby not drowned.
It's just unbelievable.
Exactly.
It's very, very sad.
Sad. Tears still coming out of my eyes. The little baby loved to sing, but she would cry. She was a good baby.
Wow. Well,
she came to her father in a dream, and she said, "What are you looking at me like that for?" And he said, "But you're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be dead." She'll come back and tell him what happened to her. She'll come back. She's a wicked woman. I didn't find Ivani like that. I said when the first time, like I had high blood pressure. Well, after that baby died, she knew what went on. She needed to tell the truth. Getting up there with makeup thing on her face. Listen, she opened the service to the baby at the funeral, not at the air. She went back up and she read her tribute, not at the air. You imagine my child dying and I can go up there and do that?
Boy, it's not even my child. I've cried over this child, so I don't understand it.
She gave up one big cry out by the cemetery. When Edward and the other children and all the family were crying, she gave up one big cry out there. She knew what went on with that baby, and she needed to tell the truth.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your call.
Okay. You have a good day.
You too. Folks, I mean, 936-2626 is the telephone number. I mean, I think we all feel that something doesn't sit right with this situation, whether that means that it's murder or neglect. I mean, I'm not going to go that far to say that it is murder. I do feel that my gut tells me that something happened to the child that was probably accidental, just because of the people that were, surrounding the child and in the vicinity. And, at the end of the day, it led to the child's premature death. And if that is the case, there are people who should be held responsible for that. You don't neglect a child and allow the child to be put in circumstances where the child is going to die, and then you just continue to live your life as though nothing has happened. And I think that that's a sentiment of, a lot of people. So we appreciate the family members because we know how difficult this is. Speaking up, Cece says she proves the point that Brac, a different breed, in a sorry to say because it's real. So France breeds you, the governor breeds you, question mark. I don't know how France is involved in this. I wasn't really quite understanding that part. What was France going to do? But, the police have said that they are more than willing to speak with her, and the lines of communication have been there. So it's not like they're ignoring her and not willing to speak with her. Like, I don't quite get this. Miss Rosemary, good morning. Miss Rosemary says both of them are to blame for her death. Both of who? You might want to clarify who them actually is in a situation like this, because we've been talking about multiple persons. We have First Lady Jayan says, can someone please tell the lady to do a next video with the facts, please? Thank you. So, people are saying she doesn't want to come on the show because she feels like it's not going to make a difference in the opinion, the public opinion of her. But I can tell you that video made it worse, right? That video, in terms of public opinion, made it far worse because nobody believed that video. So that video, if you were trying to communicate with the public effectively, gain sympathy for the public, whatever it is you were trying to do with that video, I do not think that it was accomplished. Yeah? Because there's been more negative criticism of you post that video than before. So Rosemary says, I know for sure if Odette was still alive, she would talk, or else. I don't know who Odette is, but who's Odette? And she clarifies, says her and her man. I again have a lot of questions about why certain people had access to the child. Folks, as mothers in particular, you have one job when you have children, and that is to protect your her grandmother. Thank you for clarifying. That is to protect your child, and you have to do that at all costs, right? You don't get to play around with that at all. It's just not even an option. Anyway, I don't know what to say. We will continue to monitor this situation. Obviously, when the official inquest report is happening, we will be there. We'll bring you guys the details of that hearing. We will certainly keep you updated, with a view to hopefully getting some kind of understanding about what actually happened to the child. And I only hope that if people really do have any information that can assist the police any further, that you actually step forward. The police do not want this on their record. This looks bad for them. This looks bad for everybody. Trust me, they don't want a murder of a child being unsolved, right? If she was murdered. And I don't believe that if she was murdered, that they would be out there trying to cover this up and say that she wasn't murdered. So I'm not really sure. Like that just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. So getting lots of messages here, but I'm not really quite sure. And the other thing is the rumor mill has been so heavy in this that I really think the police should reconsider their approach and really try to have a press conference on this. But I think that it just isn't the way that they do things. And so Josephine says apparently she's not even living here anymore. She's gone a foreign. But doesn't she have other children that are here as well? Island Girl, unfortunately, we were at the end of the show today. Dean says, flipping how lots of us are products of careless sex and living, not responsible partners making love. Not much of us are planned for, but hey, we are still cared for. Those poor babies. Sigh, how she lived with herself for 9 months. Is she doing damage control here? So, again, questions that we just don't have answers to. All right, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's program. Do tune in tomorrow for our Hump Day edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Here's your news headlines brought to you by Kevin Watler.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Here's a summary of some of Cayman's latest headlines. Police are investigating a serious assault incident that is believed to have taken place in an abandoned house in the Windsor Park area on Sunday. Police say a man sustained several stab wounds to his upper body and was assisted by a member of the public to the hospital by a private vehicle. Governor-designate Jane Owen is scheduled to arrive in the Cayman Islands on Friday, April 21st, where she will be officially welcomed by members of government at the Owen Roberts International Airport. In keeping with tradition, Ms. Owen will be sworn in at the House of Parliament on the same day. Cayman Sports Minister has threatened to withdraw funding from sports associations that are operating under questionable circumstances. The Honorable Bernie Bush shared his opinion that all members of the Cayman Islands Athletic Association executive should have resigned during the Alto Stevens child abuse scandal. Approximately 30 members of key clubs from 5 Cayman high schools attended a recent district convention in Florida. According to Key Club Florida District, the annual Florida District Education and Leadership Conference is held in the spring for over 2,000 students and chaperones. Now for your CMR weather update. It's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:06, isolated thunderstorms in the morning, then partly cloudy skies later on, with the temperatures at 83 degrees Fahrenheit and the humidity at 70% like the forecast calls for. It will feel like it's in the high 80s. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour, and the sun sets at 6:44. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the high 70s. Looking forward, similar weather conditions are expected. If you would like to know more on any of these stories, visit CaymanMallRoad.com or follow Cayman Mall Road on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. That's it for now on the Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.